Hello, we did it. We're streaming. We've done it. Greetings and salutations, fellow humans. Hope you guys are doing well. I went out and had a beautiful, beautiful walk with a friend today. We went down to the beach, walked along the beach. It's nice to see the water, make sure that it was there. Gave the lake an A+. A+ lake, doing the best work that a lake can do. Always good to go out and get into nature, man. I'm like full-blown going like, I'm going full-blown into vacation mode here, I can tell. Just finished up your yesterday stream. Perfect time. Wow, Zed, that's a lot of me. That's a lot of me for today for you. That's great, man. I'm so happy that people are enjoying this content. I gotta tell you. I get really in my own head about it all the time and get a little like, why am I even doing it and all this? But I just need to remind myself it's about solidarity. It's about easing people's burdens, right? Letting people know that there's a person out there that thinks the way you do, or at least is a little crazier than you are, which is always nice. It's always nice to know, oh, I'm not the worst. There's someone worse out there. Had a conversation with my friend about the branding of my channel. Would more people watch? Would more people watch if I wasn't calling myself the Canadian Commie, if I instead had branded some other way? And you know, I gotta tell you, I don't care. I think that's really what it comes down to. Because I think the people who are willing to watch and who are getting excited and interested in my content, as I call myself the Canadian Commie and I got that communist symbol, right? Those are the people that I'm interested in. I'm no longer interested in bothering with these morons, like these insipid children who are working to destroy the society as fast as they possibly can, right? Like, we need some communism up in here, straight up. Like I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. I'm not gonna say otherwise. And in 5 years' time, right? People are gonna be calling for it like I'm calling for it, right? Like we're descending into a fairly clear fascism. Like it's pretty overtly obvious. I've got friends and family all around me. Like for God's sakes, I have a couple of friends. She's Wayne Virgo. Don't think I've ever seen you here before. Good to see you. Hope you're here to participate. I got one friend. I got a couple, right? And she's a librarian. He's an assistant professor. They can't get a house. They've got a kid. They can't get a house. They've tried to work with his brother. His brother's a construction worker. His girlfriend that they're trying to all work this out with, right? She's the manager of a restaurant. The four of them together can't get a house. I've got another friend. He's a partner at a Bay Street law firm. His wife is a professor. They've got 2 kids. Can't afford a house. The system has failed. Well, good to see you anyway, Wayne. Glad you've popped in. Always good to see new faces. Like, share, do all the things, all the regular stuff. And what makes it worse is that the political class, the liberals, the conservatives, the NDP, and the Greens, are doing absolutely nothing about it. Absolutely nothing of merit. All of their solutions are total, complete bullshit, are obvious grifts that even a child could see are total bullshit lies and completely fraudulent. In 5 years' time, people are going to be living in their parents' basements again. Right? People are going to be, like, what do you think is happening in the employment market? Nobody wants to work anymore. Well, your wage doesn't pay the rent. I literally can't live in the area that the job is in. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure this shit out. It's very straightforward what's happening in the society. And yet, we're just marching ourselves as virulently as we can towards this result. And what people are going to do is what we've always done, right? We're going to throw our hands up at these liberals and these NDPers who are worthless, right? These pretend progressives. And what are we going to do? We're going to vote conservative, like we do every time. Only this time, it's going to be the privatization of the healthcare system, the building of more pipelines, like Pierre Poilievre has promised, right? It's going to be a complete disaster. It honestly has, like, for real, you got to be in such denial about it to think it's fair. Yeah. Like, to believe that anyone, like, the billionaire class has, quote-unquote, earned it. Like, you're living in a delusional dream world at this point. Which I think is true. Like, I think it's actually true. Like, I think we're dealing with a type of delusion that's on the same level as, like, Santa Claus is real. Jesus Christ is coming back at any moment, right? Like, we are unwilling completely to face reality and to look reality in the face. And the result of it is going to be a rising fascism that's going to result in an eternal civil war. Like, the violence and the devastation that we have spread throughout the world, we eventually turn against ourselves. And you can see, like, the liberal response to the market crisis is to increase the slave system. Like, they're loosening up the rules for the temporary foreign worker program, which is a slave system. It's always been a slave system. So and so what's happening on the conservative side? Hey, Barnabas, how you doing? What's happening on the conservative side? Oh, these immigrants are coming and taking our jobs. Right? So don't blame the billionaires. Don't blame the owners. Don't blame the people who are actually in control and actually making the decisions for the society to the degree that this society makes decisions. But that we're supposed to blame the weakest, most vulnerable people in the world. Refugees. Black metal Marxist. I love that name, by the way, bud. Awesome name. Your videos about Doug Ford kept me sane during the lockdown last year. I'm glad to hear that, bud. I really am glad to hear that. That's good. That's fuel for my soul right there, bud. That makes me feel really good. All I'm trying to do is tell the truth about these guys. All I'm trying to do is just take a look at them and tell the truth and fuck these, like, our media people are the most culpable, if you ask me. Like, you expect politicians to be corrupt. Like, you expect a certain degree of that kind of thing. But our media people are despicable. Just completely duplicitous. Like, these are people who actually get to go talk to these people, and instead of asking them important questions, and instead of putting their feet to the fire, they just ask them the questions that the politicians themselves give them. Right? Like, it's a show. It's just a show. That's all it is. When is a manager all thought employed considered bougie? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like the management class, which is essentially the liberal class, they're the managers of the apocalypse, right? Like they're the ones that are controlling the descent. Your ray of sanity in a sea of madness. Well, thank you, Nova Scotia. I appreciate that, bud. I'm trying my best. Trying my best. Media, today your politicians decided they can snap their fingers and money goes somewhere and you're going to be okay with that. More at 11. I mean, like, look, politicians can do that. That's the thing that's so fucking stupid about this whole thing. Like, the whole point of electing a leader is that they can create money in our fiat currency system and direct it in a direction that they want it to go in. And in order to prevent inflation, right, the best way to do that is to tax wealth away from the worthless pools of capital, right? Hey, Conton, how you doing? Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. No, but that's what's beautiful, Conton, is that they don't last either. The earth eventually crushes them too. So that's one of the great levelers of our society, right? What makes it truly fair is that we all meet the reaper in the end. And we've got the liberals outright admitting that they're economic illiterates, right? Like, our finance minister is an economic illiterate. Like, she doesn't understand how economics works. Like, to an embarrassing degree. She literally wrote in in the budget, in the most recent budget, she wrote that what they're doing is trickle-down economics. Modern supply-side economics was the exact quote. She used a Janet Yeltsin quote as if we're supposed to be impressed. But outright she's saying, like, yeah, what we're doing is supply-side economics, trickle-down economics, something that literally has failed and doesn't work. Explicitly, it doesn't mathematically work. There is no mathematical model for it working. Every time it's tried, it's been a complete and total failure. It's created the society of total devastation and destruction we're seeing before us. But boy, howdy, are we ever doing it more. So what we have are religious acolytes pretending to be economists who are LARPing as politicians. That's what we have. And that's across the political spectrum. There's no exceptions to this. The Confederation of German Employees Association, BDA, is keeping a lawsuit against the planned minimum wage increase. Yeah. Look, the entire way that we are negotiating with the power structure is stupid. It is. Like, we're begging for scraps. Please, sir, can I have a living wage? Please, sir, can I? I'll do your work for you while you continue doing nothing. Absolutely, sir. I'll continue doing all of the work while you do absolutely nothing, but can I at least pay my rent? Like, that's the conversation that we're having, and I'm sick of it. Like, it's such a stupid conversation. We should be saying to these guys, give us a reason to keep giving you any money at all. Like, give us a single reason. And the only reason they actually have is, I'll send cops at you. Like, that's it. That's why they keep funding the cops. That's why they keep putting more money into cops. Right? Because they know it's the only answer they actually have. Because they understand that the thing is illegitimate. We do all the work. They do none of the work. They get all the money. We get none of the money. Right? Doesn't take a fucking genius to figure this out. And instead of saying to them, like, oh, can we, let's fight for 15. Yeah. We got to get the minimum wage increase. How about we say to them, you're no longer part of the process. Like, we're giving you $0. You are no longer part of this process whatsoever. And that's the basis of the negotiation. Although I don't consider it a negotiation any longer. That we should be saying to these overt, crazed, pedophilic psychopaths, you are no longer participating in this. And if you're lucky, you'll stay out of a jail cell. Like, those are the conversations that we should be having with these guys. These people are psychopaths, and they deserve to be treated as such. I bag product worth $25.99. I only see $15 an hour. If you don't know where the theft is, I mean and even within the confines of that relationship, right? The psychopath class can't even maintain the rule set. The number one form of theft is wage theft, right? The number one form of theft is wage theft. That the psychopath class can't even maintain the rules that exist currently. That they have to steal from you even within the rules, their own rule set, right? Like, I don't know why we're bothering to pretend like there are rules or laws to follow. Like, they don't follow the law. They don't follow the rules, right? And, like, they're incentivized completely to steal from you. Because if you take them to court and try to get the wages that they're owed, the worst case scenario is that they pay you the wages. They don't go to jail. There's no extra fine. There's no any of that. Like, if I was elected as the Prime Minister of Canada, the first rule I would do is be like, oh, if you steal wages, it's minimum, like, 5 years prison. Like, that's what I would say. I would be like, yeah, you're stealing wages from people, we send you to jail for 5 years. It's that clean. Watch all that wage theft suddenly just, whoa, oh, it's gone. Oh, goodness me. The number one form of theft in the society suddenly disappeared because you go to jail for it. And, like, I'm 100% of the opinion that if the punishment for the crime is a fine, then that's just the cost of doing the crime. And for wage theft, well, the worst case that these guys have to put up with is just paying the wage. So do the thing you were supposed to do in the first place. So there's no punishment. So there's complete incentivization to do it, which they do because they're psychopaths. Doug Ford should be put on trial. I mean, the thing that's despicable about Doug Ford is that people vote for him. Like, that's what makes it the most despicable. And go, like, I have gone to Doug Ford's house and done a protest at Doug Ford's house, and I've interacted with the people who vote for Doug Ford. They're crazed, like they're lunatics. Like we're talking about like people whose children will make fun of disabled people while they watch. Right? They're not admonishing their own children. They're not trying to correct them. They're just looking at these disabled people begging for support with like weird little like, oh, what's, I don't know, right? Or you have like princesses going by complaining that we're ruining their walk and that they worked hard to get all of their money, right? And then you ask her like, hey, what's the job that you do? And she's like, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband's a doctor. And you're just like, shut the fuck right up. Like, shut the fuck right up. Like, these people are detached from reality. They vote in order to inflict damage. Like, that's the dark truth about Canadian society, is that we are voting to increase suffering. It's what we want to do. We enjoy doing it. We're a fan. We like it. Communist Party, Buckabud. Yeah, I mean, you know, you might as well run on that platform. It works. Like, that's how thick these people are. Remember that kid who killed 2 people while speeding, and his defense was his parents were so rich he didn't know speeding was wrong? Yeah, might as well. Like, might as well. All right, I got this guitar here. I'm going to sing a tune. Don't need that. These times they are uncertain, of that there is no doubt, and nobody can tell me quite what it's all about. The heartbreak and the loneliness, the chaos and the fear will make even the strongest cry, I wish my ma was here. A young man on a battlefield fights for a rich man's gold. The bullet cracks into his spine, he knows he won't grow old. And as the tears come streaming down, at once his mind goes clear. The war was fought for nothing, he cries, I wish my ma was here. A lively story well in hand, a joke to soothe your soul. And when it came to arguing, she'd forgive and let it go. And when I cried, she held me, told me it's okay, my dear. And as we face these darkened days, I wish my ma was here. And as we march into the streets, as all the righteous do, we'll raise our voices to the skies. They cannot stop the truth. And as we tear their structures down, we'll raise a victory cheer. We made the world a better place, and I wish my ma was here. Yeah, we made the world a better place, and I wish my ma was here. Which subreddit was this image posted to? Communist memes, maybe? Communism memes, maybe, bud? I don't remember. I'm gonna hit another one. Whoa! wage they pay me with don't get me very far. The chains that hold me break me down, but they don't scar. Can't even drink away my blues inside a bar, and this year sucks. This year sucks. Can you blame a man for trying to give it up, and this year sucks? Another day won't help that pain inside your back. The days get harder, but it's too hard to keep track. They keep you tied before your soul opens a crack. And God don't care what monkeys think about the facts. And this year sucks. This year sucks. Can you blame a man for trying to give it up? And this year sucks. So sit atop your pile of bones and bloody gold, and human sacrifice don't stop you being old. At least you'll die before the bomb you said explodes. We're gonna burn to death while doing what we're told, and this year sucks. This year sucks. Can you blame a man for trying to give it up, and this year sucks? It burns down anyway. It burns down anyway. It burns down anyway. It burns down anyway. Oh, what are you guys saying? What are you guys saying? I wish Lennon was here. Oh my god, yeah, no kidding, eh? Plays hits from the bong. For me, I generally don't understand how people can keep falling for the whole right-wing populism shtick. They're desperate. They're exhausted. That's a huge part of it. Everyone's exhausted, right? No one's getting laid. And honestly, people are primarily emotional, right? We don't actually use our intellect in a forward way. That if you use your intellect in a forward manner, that's called visionary, right? That's what people are described as visionary if you just look forward and plan in that way. You know, you see what's about to happen and then make your decisions based on what's going to happen. Most people justify things the other direction. That things happen to them, they react to them, and then they justify them in retrospect. And it isn't until something really evil happens that you can't actually do a backwards justification, right? So like, when there is finally like a straight up throwdown civil war, there is no backwards justification, right? Like, you're evil. It happened. And you're just kind of left to sort of figure out how did it happen, right? And then the hindsight 2020 comes in. Yeah, here for the little guy, then goes on to implement hyper-individualist policies. Well, because Doug Ford figured out what conservatives haven't been figuring out for a while, which is the best way to get elected is to lie, right? We're very gullible. Like, Canadians are incredibly gullible. We love liars. Like, we definitely push our chips in with liars all the time. Whenever you sing this song, I kind of get goosebumps. It's because that song lives in the truth. That as soon as the open mic nights actually start, and I actually start going to the open mic nights, that song is going to become very popular. And I know it. Because it's reaching into the heart of it, and it's taking a shred of the truth and putting it right in front of your face. Like, and I know it. It's absolutely the truth. That as soon as the open mics start, and as soon as I'm able to actually go somewhere and play that for people, it's going to become a very popular song. Expect to hear that song. Expect to hear that song in movies. 20 years from now. I'll be 60. And that song will finally be making it into the movies then. Because by then, the collapse will have occurred and there will be a rebuilding process. By then, we'll actually get people into the streets because they've experienced the collapse, right? Which is what it's going to take. You played This Year Sucks a few times ago. Good to see you, JR. Good to see you too, Yeti, by the way. Is that an original? It is. It's my song. I made that. It's my song. That's why I'm allowed to play it. I can play it as much as I want, anywhere I want. And I've got it recorded so many times on YouTube and on Bandcamp and all that kind of stuff that if somebody tried to take it and use it as their own, I could be like, aha, eat it. That would be great. So much passion, John. We'd love to see it. Our star boy. That's so nice. Thank you, guys. The right wing knows how to tap into the anger. Yeah. Like, that's the truth, Lonnie. Lonnie's nailing it. Like, but when we think about these things, we do tend to think about them as if it's like a right-winger is Machiavellianly, like, sitting down and, like, plotting, like, we'll tap into the anger of the thing. Like, literally, I think it really is just, like, narcissistic liars stand in front of crowds, and they say, all these immigrants say, and then everybody goes, oh, and so they go, oh, that got a big response. I'll just keep saying that. And because everything is just emotional, there's no intellect. Like, there's no intellect on the right at all. Zero. And the intellectualism that exists in the Liberal Party exists only to try to how do we grift? How do we grift? Okay, for Barnabas, I'm going to answer that question, but Mock's got it here. We're going to do the number draw. Everybody, pick a number between 1 and 10. We're going to get it, Mocked. I'm with you. I'm with you on the 7, bud. Lynch has been dancing around it, dude. He's been dancing around
Here
it.
we go for today's number.
Matt's got
it's
it. Matt's
April
got
26th,
it. Lots of new people in the chat today. Love to see it.
2022. 10 balls.
Here we go. Here we go.
Each ball has a number. Numbers 1 through 10.
Lonnie, you always know what to say to make me laugh.
Swirl the numbers.
Swirl the numbers.
Pick a number.
We got a good array. It's going to be a 5. There's 2 5s in the chat. It's going to be a 5.
Today's number is
9. Oh, okay. DM, you won yesterday, didn't you? DM, ding, ding. I need like a little bell is what I need. Like a ding, 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 ding. And you know what, Compton? What is 6 but a tired 9, right? You can win too. Why not? May the energy of David Lynch carry into your lives. So, Barnabas, you asked here, and you've been asking for, do you hum a note when you write a word? What's your process? Barnabas, it's as simple as this, bud. So I'll be sitting on my couch, right, with my guitar, right? I'll be playing anything. Oop, gotta get rid of that. Right? Like, just like literally. And it'll hit my ear right. Right? And I'll be like, oh, okay, I like this rhythm. I like what I'm doing here. This is nice. And then from here it'll be and then once I've established the and of course this is like I've just done it very rapidly. Finding the melody on the guitar can take about an hour, right? To find something that I'm satisfied with, to find something that I actually like or enjoy or that hits me right? And it's all, for me, it's all just feeling. It's just emotion, right? That it's just like reaching into the ether and picking out like the frequency, the sound frequency that seems right in my ear. And then finding the melody to put over top of that, right? And then once that's all established, right? So you've got your... And you'll note that a lot of my songs are very simple, right? Like 2020 is 4 chords. At the same rhythm, the same entire time, it never changes. It's the same thing, right? And lots of songs are like that. Like most songs are actually like that, right? So anyway, you find that out. And then from here, right? Whoa! That's just the opening. Most songs have an opening, right? Ma 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 ma. Or like, I don't always have the cadence, right? So it'll be like, whoa! You're trying to find like the middle note, the center note. There's always a center note, right? So like in the case of this song, it is, whoa! So that's the foundation. And then from there, like once you're happy with your ba 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 ba, right? And then there's a set amount of syllables that you have. So you put your guitar aside there, then you pick up your book, right? And you have your guitar ready because sometimes you'll need to go back and forth, right? And then it's poetry from there, right? It's poetry from there. Explicitly poetry, right? So you got the cadence and you got the song and you got it in your mind, right? And maybe if you're really desperate, do like a recording on a loop so that you have it, right? And then write. Gotta sleep another night inside this car. The wage they pay me with don't get me very far. The chains that hold me break me down and they don't scar. Can't even drink away my blues inside a bar. And you're gonna make mistakes and edits and change it and do all that kind of stuff. And then and my recommendation is don't get too caught up on the rhythm of it. Write from your heart. Right? And then when you play it, you'll see how it doesn't fit, right? You'll see how it doesn't work, right? It won't fit the rhythm, and you'll try to cheat, and I try to cheat all the time, and try to fit it to the rhythm, and then finally you've got to do edits and like cut words out and find cleaner ways to say the thing that you're saying, and that'll over time that'll express itself, and it'll improve and get better and better, and And so basically there's 3 pieces, right? There's I start with the guitar, right? I start with the foundation of the guitar, or piano, or whatever instrument. I start with the instrument, and then I put a melody onto that, right? Focusing on the center note, and then I create poetry from that, and then there's putting it all together, right? And that's the process. So guitar, melody, poetry, and then the amalgamation of those 3 things. And then they all come together to make a piece of work. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's as really simple as that. Sometimes you'll go through like 3-4 hours of work to create a song and you'll come out the other side and it's just no good. And that's all. Because the process doesn't care about what's sellable. That's the real truth of it, is that it's an artistic process, and so sometimes you'll create stuff that is for you exclusively, right? Like I've created songs that have been very profound and very powerful and very emotionally rewarding for me, that I then turn around and perform for anyone else, and they hate it. And it's like universal, right? And not hate it. Like, I actually would make the argument that if they hated it, that would be better than what usually happens, which is kind of like, I guess, right? Just sort of like, I don't care about it or nothing, right? But that's okay. That's part of the process, right? And it's very rare indeed that you create, or that I create a song, or I shouldn't say, like, that anybody creates anything that you can turn around and perform for someone and they actually are like, yeah, I get it. I'm here. Let's go. But David Mamet, who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross, Wag the Dog, these sorts of things, he had a great statement, which don't be afraid to make stuff that's bad, or else you'll never make anything that's good. So that's my process. That's my opinion. Go to it. Make shit. Make the worst shit you've ever heard in your life. And no intellect on the right. What about our boy Shapiro? Shapiro cedes his intellectualism to his magic book. That's what he is. Just remember, 3 is half of 8. That's right, DM. That's right. Let's see you make a song on stream today. Oh my god. Like, okay, good. Confirmed I just can't. Of course, no. The exact opposite is true, Barnabas. The exact opposite is true. And maybe, like, start with poetry. That can be very helpful too. Like, do it the opposite, right? Don't go instrument melody poetry. Go poetry instrument melody. Like, mix up those elements, right? But at some point you do have to sit down and write poetry. It's as really simple as that. Hey, Demand Better, how you doing? Have I done extended car camping? Oh yeah. And I'm about to go on a road trip with my brother and sister. Just to remind everybody, I'm not going to be here on Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and probably Thursday, because I'm going on a big trip with my siblings. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Let's see you make a song on stream today, Yetis. I worried that would actually be a very boring process for you guys. Like, that's not. It sounds like it would be interesting. And it's the kind of thing that if I were to do that on stream and then make like a video of it and like shorten the whole process, I think that might be a little interesting. But you guys would be bored of it very quickly. It's not glamorous. It's like you're making meat. You're making meat, right? And like, for real, sometimes it really is. It's like, so take the course of like, gotta sleep another night inside this car. And so I wrote that down, right? And I was like, okay, car. Well, what rhymes with car? Far, bar, right? And then literally you're like trying to find the path to that word. And then what, but so it's very mercenary, I guess, and it distills out a lot of the mysticism. I think people when they think, and I'm getting this kind of vibe from you, Barnabas, that people think that it's more mystical than it actually is, because the end result carries with it a kind of a mysticism, that there is like a reaching in to the heart, and you feel. Right, and so it connects to a kind of mystical sense, but actually creating the song itself is more like it's more mercenary than that. And I shouldn't be 100% with that, because like, you know if something's going to be good or not, for you anyway. It's like what Tony Soprano said about therapy. It's like trying to take a shit. Yeah, and like, I actually think that about our society. Like, I feel like we're very constipated. Like, we're a very constipated society, and we desperately need to take this enormous shit, and we just can't. So we're just stuck in this like really painful, suffering moment. And I'm basically just sitting here saying, like, we could take a laxative. We could take a laxative. Let's take this shit, man. Let's take this shit. Like, I mean, right now, for God's sakes, the thing that's going around, the thing that everybody wants to talk about is the richest guy on the this bullshit. I got this reversed. This should go here. Friendly reminder that Elon Musk told the UN that if they gave him a budgeted breakdown of how $6 billion could end world hunger, he would do it. They gave him a detailed budget of how the money could be used, and then he didn't do it. Instead, he decided to buy Twitter for $45 billion. Like, here's the leaders, man. Like, here they are. Right? This is what we're doing. This town needs an enema. What's that from? What's that from? That's not Batman, is it? Oh, well. I forget what that's from. That's hilarious. But, like, we literally, like, you can't make this shit up, guys. Like, you can't. Yes, Joker and Batman. I thought so. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, if somebody were to write this script, right, and present it to us, we'd be like, I don't know, seems a bit unbelievable, right? And Andrew's raising a really interesting point. You keep hammering the point we're governed by sociopaths. I'm fascinated by the tendency of average people to be governed by sociopaths and psychopaths. It's because the average person can't believe it. Like, that's what it really comes down to, right? That the average person is just living their life trying to get by, right? And believes that everybody else is also living their life trying to get by, right? That most people are motivated, but sure, there's like a financial motivation, like everybody wants a little bit more money, sure. But most people do want things to be calm, and they want to make sure that the people around them are doing okay, right? Everybody wants to make sure that they're living in a clean environment and everything's sort of suitable, and everybody's just trying to get by, right? And focusing on what the thing, like, and everybody wants to be a respectable member of society, and everybody wants to be these sorts of things. And so everybody assumes that, well, the ruling class is also that, right? That this is how I am, and this and they talk to me, right? And the way they talk to me makes me believe that they are also interested in those things, and they are like that. And so, yeah, we are all in this together, right? And people don't want to believe it of the leadership. They don't want to believe that they have actually gone psychopathic, because that creates, like, it breaks, first of all, it destroys nationalism, right? Like, if you genuinely believe that, like, the Prime Minister of Canada is trying to destroy the civil society, you can't really have national pride, right? Like, that doesn't really exist. Same story with the Conservatives, right? Like, and I think a huge part of it is that people want to be on the in group, right? That, like, just think about like a show like Survivor, right? Like real reductive, real like simplistic analogy, but I think it is accurate. That on the show Survivor, the only skill you really need to ascend to the top of the structure is to be on the in group. As long as you're in the in group every single time there's a vote, right, then that means you're not going to be the one walking out the door, right? And I think that that's just part of the innate reality of what it is to be in a society, that you want to be in the in group. And so what that means is that you're never going to stand up and say, this sounds like bullshit, right? Because that's going to immediately put a target on you. You're immediately going to be put on the out group. And then everybody is going to treat you like the pariah and put you on the outside. And how do I know that's true? Because I'm on the out. I'm in the out group, right? And I'm in the out group from the beginning of my life, basically. Like, I've never been on the inside. And honestly, anytime I've even approached the idea of being on the inside, I've been like, oh, this is a demonic enterprise that's seeking to destroy everything around it. Like, it's obviously what's happening. But no one can actually say it because they don't want to be on the out group, right? Like I really figured this out when I moved to the East Coast, because when I was on the East Coast, literally everybody on the East Coast is an NDPer. Every single person is an NDPer, but they think their neighbor is a liberal, right? I had this conversation over and over and over and over and over and over again, where I was like, why don't you vote NDP? And the answer to that is, well, they'll never get in because my neighbor votes liberal. And then you'd literally turn to their neighbor and you'd be like, well, why don't you vote NDP? And they go, well, because my neighbor votes liberal. Right? So they're both wanting to vote for the NDP, but they think their neighbor is voting liberal. And so they want to be on the in group, that it's better to be in the in group than it is to be on the out group. And and this applies to all sorts of things, this line of thinking. That like, if you see a big giant billboard, and the big giant billboard says something, it doesn't even matter. Elon Musk is good, right? Elon Musk helping people, right? Well, you're going to look at that billboard, and even if you think that sounds like bullshit to me, you're probably not going to say that to this guy here, because you think that this guy's looked at the billboard and been like, that's right, Elon Musk is good and helps people. And if you say to him, sounds like bullshit to me, he's going to say, excuse me, sir, Elon Musk is a poet and a scholar and has done nothing but help everyone around him all of the time. Good day. Right? And it's the same way. So you end up with two guys who might necessarily be like, that sounds like bullshit, but the best they'll ever say to one another is, well, what do you think of that? Well, it seems a bit much, eh? Right? Maybe they'll get there, right? But are you going to actually get somebody to be like, this guy's a fucking lunatic. This guy's literally impoverishing people and like, he made money from an apartheid emerald mine and said that he would like fix world hunger for $6 billion and then didn't, and then bought Twitter for $45 billion, right? No, that's not going to happen, right? That's just not going to happen. Because everybody wants to be in the in group. Everybody wants to be on the in group. And that the worst thing that can happen in a society where the only way to actually succeed is to say yes, sir, to capitalists, right, is to be on the in group. Right? It's the only way to actually succeed in the society is to say yes, sir, to capitalists. Because if you don't say yes, sir, to capitalists, well, then you don't get the job, you don't get the promotion, you don't get the partnership, you don't ascend the meritocracy, right? You don't do any of that, right? And if the capitalists say, we think you should do this instead, and you say, I don't know, I think that there's a niche or something for this kind of thing, well, then you're on the out group and off you go. And our whole structure vets for this. Our whole structure from the start, right? From kindergarten. And even pre-kindergarten now, right? The whole structure of the society rewards the people who say yes, sir, and then do the thing that they're saying yes to the best that they possibly can. That the geniuses, the brilliant people who exist in the society are just the people who did the task that was allotted to them with the swiftest and the best, right? And so what you end up with is elementary kids who say yes, sir. Then you end up with high schoolers that say yes, sir. Then you end up with university students that say yes, sir. And then you end up with business CEOs and that who say yes, sir. Right? And so if the capitalists say, we want you to lay off 15% of the workforce and lower their wages by 10%, they're going to say yes, sir. Right? Because that's the only thing the system vets for. It doesn't care about anything else. Right? And who are they saying yes, sir, to? Hereditary billionaires who are illiterate morons, people like Musk, right? Like who are stupid children. Like, so our entire society, like, we are the children of the apocalypse, and it is being ushered in by the yes men of the apocalypse. Like, the apocalypse isn't happening because there's this, like, Machiavellian, and then we'll destroy the world, like, if I were to make like a children's cartoon, right? And like the villains of the piece are always these like heartless, cruel, laughing, self-aware figures, right? That's not the type of villain that I would make. I would make detached, illiterate, unaware children who just didn't understand what it was they were doing, right? That like literally they're like marching the whole society off a cliff and they just don't even know it. And if somebody actually tells them about it, they just throw a temper tantrum, right? Or like put one of their yes men in front of you, right? Because they don't want to deal with you anymore, right? So they'll just put a yes man in front of you. And they're so wealthy and so powerful that if you create an institution that's actually designed to get in front of them and be like, hey, get fucked, well, what are they going to do? They're going to buy it. And then they're going to fire you. Because they just don't want to listen to your shit. Because we're not being ruled by adults who are making if we were ruled by adults that were like Machiavellian, psychopathic, evil guys who were like puppeteering and pulling all the strings, our society would look better than this, right? Like a Machiavellian, evil, demonic monster like Lucifer himself would have enough sense to be like, yeah, but like we don't want people to revolt and like fall into like a total state of chaos. Like we want a certain degree of stability to exist in the society, right? No, the reality is that like people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they're just children that never grew up. That's all. They just never grew up. They've got the mental capacity of a 6-year-old, right? Go watch Elon Musk's Joe Rogan interview and put it like Joe Rogan the whole time is just wanking Musk. Just like absolutely just like, yes, Elon, you're the greatest. I love you so much, Elon. But as soon as you get that that's all Rogan is doing, he's just like totally stroking this guy off, and you actually listen to Musk, you realize pretty fast he's about 6, like maybe 7, right? He just never grew up. That's all. And these are the people who rule us, right? They're just detached, aloof, unaware. Like Elon Musk has said that like $100,000 isn't a lot of money. Like it's complete detachment. We need a definitive polity stance on 7 of 9 being a babe. Only thing we could trust him. John Smith, really bringing down really bringing down the important questions. I tell you what. Look, 7 of 9 is a babe. Okay, like I'm sorry. If you do not think that 7 of 9 is a babe, then I don't think that we can organize together. I just don't. I think that that's it. Line in the sand, right? The great 7 of 9 schism. I was in the group for about 6 months back in the 70s. Yeah. Look, and honestly, like, the in-group is not fun. You've got to sacrifice everything to it. Like you cannot be for as much as conservatives and liberals like to talk about individualism, they despise individualism. Individualism is the death of their entire ideology. Because if they actually cared about individuals, then they would care about people like me, right? Then they would care about the homeless. Then they would care about all this kind of stuff because those people are individuals, right? But the reality is they don't care about individuals. They care about their system. Their system that they are yes men to. That's all. And so to be in the in-group means sacrificing yourself to it. Like you literally have to sacrifice yourself completely. I've seen people do it. Like I've witnessed it. People just become other things. And it's inhuman. Why do you think I don't work at City Hall anymore? Yeah, I don't have yes sir in me. Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, and there's no place in our society for people who aren't yes men, because it's just and now it's gotten to the point where you have to say you have to be able to say yes sir, I'll murder my own children, right? Like these people who are walking around being like just get a job might as well be saying just murder your own children, right? Like that's where it's getting now, and like there's a banality to all of it. That's the big part of it. Yeah, trading your soul for a life of luxury and feeling of superiority. Yeah, for the brief fleeting moment that you have, right? Like you get to either invest in yourself, or you get to invest in your society. Those are the options. And if you invest in yourself, right, and that's all you ever do, and when I'm saying this, invest in yourself, really I mean be selfish. Like if all you are is just a selfish little kid, right? Well, then when you die, that's it, right? And all of the taking that you took from the society goes with it, right? So you're just like a fire burning the whole place down. Whereas if you invest in your society, well, then that persists, right? That's what actually stays, right? But we don't think about it that way. Had I the heavens, embroidered cloths, inwrought with golden silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night, and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. What's that from, Barnabas? That's very nice. You should read The Wisdom of Psychopaths by Kevin Dutton. Oh, well. Oh, we do. The Wisdom of Psychopaths. Oh, my God. I know a few older people who just keep repeating, people don't want to work these days. Yeah, because they can't put two and two together on this. It can't simply be the, The thing that's annoying about these sorts of statements, Jester, is that like people don't want to work these days. Yeah, that's correct. People don't want to work for nothing, right? People don't want to work for a system that's destroying them, right? Like when they say people don't want to work these days, they're saying it on that individualist level of like people are just lazy, right? This is what they're saying instead of people are just lazy, right? Because they know that if they say people are just lazy, they'll get dismissed with an okay boomer, right? That's how it works. So they've found this middle ground of people just don't want to work these days. And it's like, correct. People don't want to work for $0 for places that disrespect them and shit on them, for a society that's careening itself towards total self-destruction, right? We literally work more than medieval peasants by far. We work enough. There's that too. But also, like, there's just the hard reality that, like, if the jobs in the area don't pay the rent, right, then the people who need jobs in order to pay rent leave the area, right? It's extraordinarily basic. Like, that if you actually want people to accept the jobs at the wages that are being paid, then you got to do something about this rent, right? Or if you insist that this is the rent that's going to be paid, then you've got to pay higher wages. And it's literally just basic mathematics. Like literally kindergarten, like 1 + 1 = 2 at this point. That rent, like, I only have so many hours that exist in my workday. Right? Like there's only so many hours of time that exist, correct? So if I take those hours of time and I spend them on this pursuit for wages, and the wages that I get for the time that I put in, I want to turn around and put into rent, and if those wages do not meet the rent bar, then there's no point for me to spend my time on the job in the first place. It's extremely clear cut. Like this is why I keep saying, right, that like these things are being made complex, that things are actually very simple, right? But they're being made complex on purpose by people who benefit from obfuscation and grifting, basically. Like, job pays wage no pay rent. No do job, if no pay rent. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out, right? And if your response to this is just, oh, people are lazy and all that kind of stuff, then you're just an aloof, detached loser. Like, you don't know what's going on in the world, and maybe it's time to stop participating. No point in working if you can't save, if you got no time to improve, if you can't build anything real. Yeah, and there's also this aspect too, Methane. Like, why am I working a job if all it does is, like, I work a full-time job, I'm exhausted all the time, and all of my money just goes into rent and bills. And so, like, why? Why participate in this, right? Like, I just don't know. Like, the thing I keep saying over and over again is, why is anybody participating in this, right? Even if you are saving, even if you are making gains, right? You're not going to buy a house, right? So you're saving for what exactly? Like, to what end, for what purpose? Because you can't get big items anymore. Those don't exist for the average citizen, right? And in the end, like, climate change burns this all down anyway, right? Like, for real, ask the people of Lytton, like, how much saving do you think is going to really pay off once your infrastructure starts to burn down? Like, and we're not a very serious people. Like, we're fairly gullible, stupid people. And so we're just, like, careening ourselves towards this overt, open apocalypse that even Joe Biden is talking about the food shortages that are coming, right? Start planting gardens, guys. Like, if you've got access to, like, a little green patch, start planting now, right? Like, the food shortages are coming. Plant potatoes, plant rice, like, plant. Because, like, the food shortages are going to be pretty severe, right? And here in North America, because we're, you know, the hoarders and the genocidal maniacs of the world, we're going to alleviate that as much as we can by hoarding as much resources as we can while the global south starves, right? Like, that's how we roll. But it's going to be very severe. Because the only jobs that should be paid minimum wage are burger flipper jobs for teenagers. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's this narcissism, this overt, ego-driven narcissism that insists that the job that I do is respectable, good, and helps the society. The job that you do is a loser job that any idiot could do, right? That's the conservative ethos. If I'm doing it, it's the greatest thing that ever needs to be done, and everybody should worship me for doing it. If you do it, it's because you're a loser. And I'm saying that because I'm a narcissistic bully who needs to look down on people. And even if the job was reversed, even if I was working the other job, I would still say that. Because it doesn't matter what the job is, right? It just matters that I get to look down on somebody. And that's who these people are. I just want to go full on prepper survival mode. Just simplify everything you can, cut out expenses. Well, I mean, for me, it's just rent. It's literally the only expense I have at this stage in the game. Like, sure, I've got, like, the smaller bills, like internet, right, a phone, right, this sort of stuff. But, like, rent. Like, the rent is too damn high. And I'm considering a move, but whenever I look around for places to live, the rent's the same, right? The rent's the same. Or I could move into a smaller area and pay the same, right? So it's just like if I do move, I'm probably going to end up in a much shittier circumstances while paying basically the same amount, right? The whole thing has gone crazy. And the only person here in Ontario who's standing up and even talking about it is Andrea Horvath. But, like, she says rent control with, like, a little, like, rent control. Yeah, we're going to rent control. Like, she's not, like, she's not getting pushed out of it. And also, I'm sorry, man, burger flipping jobs are for teenagers is ageism. So, I'm sorry, teenagers don't have bills? Like, teenagers don't need money? Like, teenagers shouldn't be paid? Like, what are you fucking talking about? Right? Like, we just want slavery. That's all. It's time to really be honest about it. Like, what we want is slavery. The reason why we don't want to pay kids any money is because we want them to be slaves, and the reason why we don't want to pay people a living wage is because we want them to be slaves. We want slaves. Take a look at the temporary foreign worker program. It's a slave system. We want slaves. Like, and like, we're a highly white supremacist society. Like, that's who we are. It's what we want. Like, and we're not even close to getting there. Yeah, the next level for me is grouping up with people. I don't know anyone who wants to. I mean, that is the next level. Create a commune, right? Just like straight up go commune. And I mean, it's probably gonna get there, dude. Like, it's probably gonna get there. Start walking around those homeless areas. Find out if there's anybody who wants to join a commune. Did you hear about Wynne Bruce, the climate activist that self-immolated in front of the White House over climate change? I did hear about that. Yeah, almost no news on it. And the news I have seen is just like reporting on the event, but not making the connection to climate change. Like, literally this happens on Earth Day, right? Like, and you're going to see more and more of that. Like, you're going to see more and more of that. It's going to become bigger because, like, we're already committing suicide. Like, we already have high rates of suicide. We're already destroying ourselves in serious ways. And more, you're going to see more and more people who are going to be like, well, if I'm going to commit suicide anyway, I'm going to do it like this. Right? Like, people like to leave a mark, like make a statement when they commit suicide. Right? I worked at funeral services. I saw it all the time. People were always like leaving notes, leaving little and every scene was like a story, right? So like, I walked into one scene one time, and there was a fellow. He had collapsed in his bathroom, but it was really clear that he had kind of hunkered in his apartment for the last couple of days because there was pizza boxes and bottles of Pepsi everywhere. There was a Xbox gaming system fresh out of the box. He didn't even untie the cords, right? So he literally just set it all up, and he died of insulin shock, right? Because he didn't take his insulin, and his insulin was packed away underneath boxes and stuff on the other side of the apartment. So he clearly just decided that he was just going to stop taking his insulin and die of insulin shock. He was sick of this. So he maxes out his credit cards, buys Xbox, buys some food, pizza, all this kind of stuff, starts drinking pop, spike those insulin levels, plays some video games, and then just dies of insulin shock, right? Like, that's the way he chose to go out. That's his story. And I got 100 of these. Like, every suicide was a story. And every suicide was someone making a statement of some sort, right? And some people were very, like, I remember there was this one Chinese lady, right? The place that she jumped onto, there was lots of things for her to hit, and I think she was aware of this. And so before she jumped, she literally wrapped herself in garbage bags, right? So that when she hit the ground, or when she hit some of this stuff, it wouldn't create a gigantic mess, right? And it's just like, that's very thoughtful of her, right? She was thinking of me before she jumped. And so, the way in which a person goes out says a lot of who they are as a person. And we're going to see more and more of this as more and more towns burn down, as the famines begin, right? Like, because we're generating people who are going to be suicidal, right? They have to be. They've got nothing left. It's all burnt down. Lash would have a field day. I read about Wynne Bruce. They just mentioned someone burned themselves to death. Yep, no mention of a protest, Earth Day, anything. Really depressing. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right? Like, that our media has capitulated entirely. That they are the yes men of the apocalypse. That all they're ever going to say is yes, sir. Hey, Bumble, how you doing, bud? When Alan Bruce set himself on fire on the Plaza of the United States Supreme Court building, the fatal self-immolation, yeah. Funny how the pandemic highlighted how the most important jobs to a functioning society are usually seen by most as beneath them, or not worth getting paid. Well, and societies, like, in ancient China, butchers were considered like one step above slaves. So if you were someone who was butchering animals, you were living a very dingy existence, right? And like we look at that now and we're like, what are you talking about? Like that's a skill, that's a grisly job that everybody says like should happen, right? So it really is just like the perception of what is or is not a worthwhile job is completely based on the narcissistic opinions of a psychopathic class. Like that's it. They've just detached themselves from reality. And if people were to stop doing that work, like look what happens when they can't find workers for these jobs. Nobody wants to work anymore. Oh, I can't get my thing anymore. Then they just turn into the crying babies that they are, right? So suddenly it becomes extremely valuable, right? So, like, it's just people want to shit on other people. That's all. Yep, on Earth Day was characterized by Bruce Friends and his father as a protest against the climate crisis. Yep, and they're never going to report on it. Like, it's not going to be until there's 100 people doing it, right? And even then, right? Like, because they're not going to actually tell this story because they're criminals. Like, why would a criminal tell a story that exposes their overt crimes? Nearly 90% of employees report being injured at least once in the year. They're messing around with hot fryers, own several hundred degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. Like, 2000, go to college, you'd be flipping burgers. 2008, what do you mean you can't find a job? Is flipping burgers too good for you? Burger flipping is for teenagers, they say, while paying for and using services during school hours. Yeah. 2016, you want $15 an hour flipping burgers? Millennials are so entitled. Like, look, we straight up need a revolution, like a revolt. We need to be surrounding the halls of power. That if all of you guys were in the city of Toronto, like how many people are watching this stream right now? Right, 16 people. If 16 people could regularly show up at one spot every week, so if every week we were showing up in front of Doug Ford's house, right? Like, it doesn't take that many people. It's just that we're all spread out all over the place. And we're trying to find a way to kind of centralize this. And so, once again, I find myself encouraging you guys. Reach out to other people around you. Reach out to your community members. Reach out to all of this. Join organizations. Get involved. Or organize yourselves. Because it's great that you come here. I think this is a great solidarity movement. I know for my mental health, it's been very important, right? It's important to be here to point all of this out and to realize amongst one another that we're not crazy or isolated, right? But we've got to reach our tendrils. And this is for myself as well. I'm saying this for myself as well, that I've got to do better about reaching out into my own community and creating a real local situation, because we've got to start showing up at these people's houses. Like, there's just no other way about it. Like, they have abandoned us. An abandonment is the word that I think should be used, right? We are being abandoned, and we shouldn't tolerate it. We shouldn't tolerate it at all. Yeah, that's the problem with starting up a commune and stuff, though. You got a lot of outsiders, strange people who can't necessarily work together without large effort, you know? Yeah, I know, bud. No one said it was easy. Burger King workers in Denmark, $20 an hour, 5-week paid vacation, pension plan. 2021, why does no one want to flip burgers anymore? Yeah, dude. I don't want to eat a burger that was made by someone who doesn't want to make burgers. It's just sad burgers. Yeah, dude. Isn't that the truth? The media knows that a story like Win Bruce can become a mind virus. Yeah, they'll do everything they can to bury it, for sure. No, absolutely. Like, people like Win Bruce, just like, what's their name? I can't believe I'm forgetting their name. The two women who went to jail for destroying a pipeline. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like Ruby Montoya, yeah, Jessica Rezniak, right? These two are heroes, right? Like they went to jail for 8 years for trying to destroy a pipeline, right? These two are heroes as far as I'm concerned, right? This person, Win Bruce, a total hero. Like we have to remember who these people are. We've got to talk about these people. Because these are the people, these are the heroes of our movement, and these are the heroes of humanity. Because they're fighting back against this death cult. And we have to. Like there's nothing left. Like there's nothing left for us to do. That the ownership class is not giving us any other option. Like that's really what it's come down to. That they've removed every other avenue. It is unfortunate that kitchen work has been so devalued in the larger society that has been deemed kids' work. Yeah, it is not. The majority of kitchen workers are not underage teens. Yeah. If I ever met anybody in reality who talked this way, I would not relent on them. They would not like what happens to them. It would be a very bad situation for them. Because I can get very loud, and I would. Like, I would. I can actually hurt people with my voice. I've done it, and I will. If the media can, they will make Win Bruce's story into a simple horror spectacle for clicks, yeah. If they emphasize the horror, they can ignore the message, yeah. In my opinion, these fast food restaurant employees should be paid as much as a doctor or engineer, given all the injury and bodily harm they risk just doing their job, yeah. Well, Get a doctor to do the job. Like that's the best part, right? Get these doctors and lawyers and engineers to go do that job, right? See what happens. In my opinion, fast food should have no market in society. You're overworked if you're too busy to cook at home. Like there is that too, isn't there? Like the whole ethos of fast food. And of course, what's the fast food that they're giving you? It's basically poison, right? It's just like garbage that makes you feel like it gives you mouth pleasure, but then it makes you feel like shit, right? The signs stores put up saying we're closed on Mondays now because people won't work. Sure, buddy, that's why. Yeah. What's the wage you're paying? Everyone I know likes sitting in this poop. I never saw it as fast and only go when I have time to savor a delicious burger. Well, and one thing that's going to start happening is because of the increase of fuel, because of the fuel prices are going outrageous, local food is going to become more affordable, right? Or at least it's going to become comparable, right? That like your fat, dumb, shitty McDonald's burger, right, is going to suddenly be $20 because it comes from a fucking shipping container, right? Which comes across the Atlantic Ocean or something. Whereas like a guy who's like locally sourcing his meat and beef from a farmer just down the way, right? So it's still going to be expensive, but like the quality is going to be much like dramatically noticeable, right? This is one thing that people keep saying, like, oh, if the global market collapses, it's going to be bad for it. I'm like, is it? Like, it's going to be different, right? Like it means that you're not going to be able to easily get like slave labor created from like the Philippines or something like this kind of stuff, or get like super cheap garbage from China. Like oh no, like I'm really looking forward to like, are there really going to be people sitting around being like, yes, I was buying garbage and I gave garbage to my children and they loved how much garbage they got. Like it's just like we're just not thinking about it. During the cover hospitality lockdowns, everyone complained about not being able to go out to restaurants, pubs. Yet here the propaganda of how these workers aren't worth very much. Yeah, exactly, right? Like I have gone to restaurants and I have seen people who are like working their asses off, and I'm just like, that's why whenever I actually go out, I tip unbelievably well. Like I because nobody's getting paid right. Nobody's getting paid right because the system wants slaves. That's what it wants. It wants as many slaves as it can get. It doesn't want to pay people. And what this does is it creates, it collapses the system, right? Like if your entire system is based on slavery, right? So nobody actually gets any wages. Nobody has any expended kind of stuff. Well, your whole system is based on the idea that people buy things, right? So you make something, but you don't pay people the wage to be able to afford the thing that you're making. So what do you think is going to happen to your economy? Doesn't take a genius to figure this out. It's extremely simple. Like this is something more and more that I've really, really put together with how our society functions. Is that it's the concepts aren't difficult. It's just that you've got to cut through so much horseshit that's been put up that like I've been living outside of this in-group of destruction for so long that when I do directly interact with them, I'm literally having to be like, no, that's complete garbage. Like everything you're saying is wrong. And so the journey isn't to actually show people how things work, because the systems are actually very simple. Like they're not difficult, right? Like hereditary billionaire pays wages to people to do work. They then turn around and use those wages to get food, shelter, and entertainment from businesses that are owned by the hereditary billionaires. You see how it works? See a little cycle, right? That's how it works. Very straightforwardly. And if the billionaires won't pay the wages, then the people can't get the goods. And the whole system fractures and falls apart. Like, but if you don't actually understand that it's hereditary billionaires are the owners of the society first, and you think something else is going on, then you got to really cut through a lot of shit. And there's a lot of propaganda, and there's a lot of brainwashing, and there's a lot of what's going on. And that seems to be the most, like, it's less about explaining how the system works and more about showing that the dumb propaganda that surrounds all of this is false and just childishly wrong. Like, childishly wrong. Like, the belief that billionaires are at the top of a meritocracy that anyone can ascend. Like, you've got to have baby brain to think that's true. Like real low level baby brain. Like, literally the richest people in our society are hereditary billionaires. That's who they are, right? Like, it's so falsifiable. It's easy to falsify, and like, yeah, I need help not having an empty night. And if you know anyone on the West Coast, PM me. Oh yeah, dude, the nights. I've been killing myself in Elden Ring. That's what I've been doing. Just lots of burning myself out on Elden Ring. it's actually getting kind of bad. I gotta do a little bit better. But like I said, I'm getting into vacation mode here. I'm ready for a vacation. I gotta tell you, I haven't gone on vacation in like 4 years. I'm looking forward to it. Dude, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be so nice to see my brother and sister. It's going to be so nice. Even if we fight, it's going to be so nice. Oh, it's going to be so fucking nice. I'm looking forward to it. I live in New York City area. I'm trying to street protest very soon, but my girlfriend is going to leave me if I can't provide for her in the future that she thinks is going to exist. Isn't that right, dude? Like, I'm sorry to hear that, Yaddies, man. Like, that's hard, right? That's hard. Like, and I know that I've got people in my life who, like, they can't come to the protests. It's too much for them. Like, it's too much for them because it's like a war, right? You're fighting against the elements. You're fighting against everything. Like, and it's enormous, right? And it's a marathon, right? Like, and there's the psychic damage that you take from your society while you're doing it. M'avez c'est la musique au terre choisie. How'd I do? Choose? How'd I do? Did I do it? Did I nail it? Good to see you, man. Don't think I've ever seen you around here. I hate how capitalist defenders say denigrating food service workers, then complain when no one wants to do food service. Yeah, revolution against the capitalists is the only viable solution, right? It's the only viable solution that remains. Like, and it's the only viable solution by the design of the capitalists, right? And their entire ethos is you should just accept this. It's like no, we shouldn't. Who's supposed to work during school hours? Exactly, Amanda. Exactly. It now takes over 200 to fill my tank, bro. Like, where's the breaking point, right? Like, where's the breaking point? Because the breaking points are coming. They're going to come in very serious ways. I'm actually more or less of the opinion that once there are eviction moratoriums still in place, and once those eviction moratoriums lift, because, again, we're ruled by psychos, that's going to be a huge breaking point. Like, people can't make it work, man. Like, it's just not working. I drive VW Passat, and it's almost 100 to fill. Yeah, people can't afford to get to work, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, right? I just bought a GMC Trailblazer. I've never filled the tank. It would be about $80. Yeah. John, how do I make things worth doing? Barnabas, man, you're cutting to it, eh? Even small fun things. Okay, Barnabas. I'm feeling it from you today, bud. I am. And yesterday, too, you were giving me a lot of that, too. I know exactly what you're talking about, right? Like, there's like a numbness, like a, what's the point of any of this? So, Black Metal Marxist, I do have a Discord server. It's it costs $1 to get in. It's you gotta just donate $1 to the Patreon. Patreon's in the description, and we'll get you right into the Discord. Okay. We're getting more people in on this. Amanda is saying, I feel this. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about this, guys, because this is what we're here for. I'm gonna we'll pick some women I'll never meet. Yeah. Pornography, gin. Right? Here, let me play a tune. I got a tune for this. I'll need my book for it. Is this my book? Yep. And then we'll talk about it. Because I think it's... yeah, there it is. Because I think this is actually, like, at the core of it. Like, how do we get through it? Just on a basic, how do we live, right? Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Tighten that heart, give it no slack. Find another way to fill that void. Fill that order, do as you're told. No one cares, you're getting old. The fake smiles, they just make you annoyed. Get lost in your illusions. Pornography engine. Go save another princess. It won't save you from your sin. Wounded apes go on the attack. Dig too deep, can't take it back. Broken homes will never let it go. Sold out for your even born. Try to eat, but it's all gone. Why sell yourself just to put on a show? Whoa, get lost in your engine. Go save another princess. It won't save you from your sin. Stupid monkey on a burning rock. Reach the stars, grabbing his cock. Pump and dump your soul to get to Mars. Dreams don't mean a single thing. Don't worry what tomorrow brings. Surely it will only leave a scar. Get lost in your illusions. Pornography engine. Go save another princess. It won't save you from your sin. Get lost in your illusion. Pornography engine. Oh, save another princess. It won't save you from your sin. Well, thank you, Ma. I appreciate that. Right, Barnabas. Right. Because you want to be empty, bud. You want to empty that vessel. That the urge to write and the urge to create is a catharsis. It's an expelling. Take a shit. Take a shit. Like, go and take a shit. Like, what song is that? That's my song. It's my song. I made it. Everything you hear is going to be from me, guys. I don't play covers. I used to, but then they demonetize me if I do. So everything you hear is my stuff. That's it. Give me money. I'll give you the songs. Give me money. Play Freebird every time. There's always someone. There's always someone asking for Freebird. Okay, let's talk about this, guys. Let's talk about this. How do we deal with the feeling of emptiness? How do we deal with the feeling of and I don't have like a gotcha kind of answer, right? Like I don't have the like thing that blows up your brain or anything like that, right? Like it's not going to work that way. But how I deal with it. Oh God, okay. We're going to go real deep into the ethos, the central core view I have of the world and of the universe and of creation itself. So let's have the journey, right? We live in a system that is a quantum system, to use the secular language. We don't really understand it. We don't know why it exists. We don't know that it's here, why it's here. All we know is that it's here. And that system is generative and regenerative. And we have a very limited scope. of what exists in the world. And moreover, we don't really attempt to ground ourselves in our reality in a serious way. So you see this poster behind me, the chakra system, right? Now, let me be real clear when I say this, especially for the new people. It doesn't matter if you literally think you literally have literal orbs of literal energy literally inside of you. I actually find that to be very much something that holds people back in this conversation. All these songs that you guys are suggesting, I can't play a single one. If I play any of that, my whole channel gets demonetized. Like, not the channel, but the stream. I can't play any of it. And all of those songs, that would be brilliant, right? No, it's not. It's not that your life is meaningless and nothing you do matters, right? If life is meaningless, then the only thing that matters is what you do, right? Like if nothing has meaning, then the only thing that has meaning is the things that you do. That's sort of the contradiction of nihilism, right? That nihilism says, well, nothing we do matters anyway. It's like, well, if nothing matters, then what we do is all that matters. And this is a visualization tool. And why is this useful? Why should this be used? Right? Forget about the literalness of it. Forget about the orbs and all this. It's a visualization tool. Because how often do you actually think of your emotions? And how often do you actually dwell on your emotions? And how often do you actually focus on your body and your physical sense? Usually when we think about our body and usually when we think about ourselves, we think about it from like a weightlifting perspective, right? I've got to work out. I'm going to go running, right? I'm going to do some squats. I'm going to get my heart rate up. Like it's a fitness focused way to view yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't connect in to your larger emotional being. And you are an emotional being. First and foremost, you are an emotional being. And this sense of emptiness that exists is because you, and I know my sense of emptiness comes from when I detach from my emotional self. And why do we attach from our emotional selves? Because we've entered a moment where it's harder to exist. The emotions we are feeling are painful. That there are painful emotions. Deeply painful and deeply difficult emotions that exist within us. That we don't want to confront. Moreover, we don't know how to confront. That's why we're constantly generating music and art and all of this kind of stuff, is because that is how humans deal with their emotional selves. That they take their emotional feelings and the things that exist within them and they express them onto a page through music, through art, through poetry, through dance. Dance is one of the most disrespected art forms that exists. And we should all be dancers. We should all be dancers. Dance should be something that we're taught from a very young age, right? And it shouldn't be so that it's like you get a grade or something. Like literally we should, for half an hour, everybody should learn how to dance. Even if you're terrible at it. Because dancers intrinsically connect with their emotional selves, which is why it's so difficult for the rest of us to actually talk to dancers, because they live in a different reality than we do. Literally, they're connected to their emotional selves and we're not. And that's that sense of emptiness, right? Because you don't want to connect to emotions that hurt, and they do hurt. And they are causing you pain. But it's very natural for us to block things off. I'm sure you've heard of the idea of like people will block painful memories out, right? Painful memories get blocked out of our consciousness. It's the same exact idea. And so when you find yourself in this position where you feel empty, you feel drained, you feel detached, you feel all of this kind of stuff, right? Then this is the process, or this is a process that can help you investigate from the bottom to the top what's actually going on, what's actually happening inside of yourself. If you go to YouTube and type in Avatar The Last Airbender chakras, there's a 10-minute video that I highly recommend everybody go through. Like, and I understand that we're stepping into like very ubu-jubu kind of territory here, guys. Like, I get it. I understand that, right? It is very ubu-jubu. Emotions are very ubu-jubu, right? But these are just, and this is just a method by which we attempt to grapple with ourselves and with the self, right? And typically in Western society, when we grapple with the concept of the self, it's just your brain, right? It's like psychology or psychiatrics or something like this. It's just your brain, right? But we're not just brains walking around in meat vessels, right? That our bodies are part of the system. And in many ways, our bodies are more intrinsic to it than anything else. And of course, you can see how the Western society has inverted it, because we think we live here, when in reality we live here. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of our consciousness and of reality, is right here, where your genitals are. Yep. You ever heard that phrase, oh, he's thinking with his cock? Right? Oh, he's thinking with the wrong head? Yep. Because this is the reproductive aspect of our existence, right? This represents stability. And we're in a very destabilized time. And so focusing on this area of your body, literally, this area of your body is a focus on your own stability, right? I guarantee you're clenching your asshole. I guarantee you're clenching your butt. I guarantee that you are putting energy there that doesn't need to be there. And it's not about shifting it or changing it, it's about releasing it upwards through the body. Releasing that energy, allowing the ground and the earth itself, which was created to support you, to do so. And to release that energy into your pleasure chakra. This is where pleasure exists. You ever have a good belly laugh? You ever have a good enjoyment? Right? This is where your happiness dwells. And especially if you're feeling empty, you're feeling detached, you're feeling like you can't enjoy anything, right? You want to focus here, right here, in your belly, right? Have a good conversation. Really, really touch it. Give it a press. Shake it about. Lie on the floor. Rock your hips back and forth. Right? Have a good conversation with your stomach. Right? And then as you go up, and again, it's about releasing the energy upwards. You go up into your solar plexus. This is about power. Makes sense that powerless people would not feel very powerful. But confidence and the sense of self, it aligns with your diaphragm. You find yourself slouching over a lot. You find yourself walking around a lot like this, right? It's because your solar plexus, right? It's because you're powerless and you're depowering yourself. When these conservative types, they stand up straight, right? This is what they're talking about, right? And you can focus on it, and you should focus on it. And then you send that energy upwards into your heart. Into your heart. This is where these three chakras and these three chakras meet and amalgamate. This is the center. This is the most you that you can be. This is where your monkey meets your man, right? This is where the high mind meets the guttural, and they come together and amalgamate within the heart. This is where love comes from, compassion, empathy. And if you're feeling empty, it's probably because your heart is broken. It's probably because your heart is broken. And so you as you send that energy from your root to your sacral, to your solar plexus, to your heart, you're going to hurt. You're going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. It's going to hurt a lot. This process was easily one of the most difficult processes that I've ever done. And that I still do. Because I've said it a lot on this channel, right? The hardest thing for a person to do is deal with themselves. You'll figure that out, Barnabas. You'll figure that out. It's not about doing. It's about releasing. Here's the analogy, right? Squeeze your fist. Just squeeze your fist, okay? Squeeze your fist. Now, without actually letting go and relaxing your fist, okay? Try to find a way to relax your fist without relaxing your fist, right? So send the energy somewhere else, or send the energy elsewhere. This is how most people think about this. Like when I say send the energy up, release the energy, everybody thinks, oh, that means I'll just shift my finger that way. That's right, isn't it? Or I'll shift my finger that way, or I'll do that, or I'll fix that, or any of that kind of stuff. And none of that is accurate at all. That the only way to release your fist is to release your fist. Right? That it's not about clenching it differently. It's not about moving it differently. It's not about changing the position. It's not about struggling with it or any of that. It's about releasing it. It's about letting it go. It's about allowing it to be non-moving. Right? So I need to de-stress my testicles. It's again, and I understand. This concept does catch people. It caught me for a long time, right? It's not about doing, it's about releasing, right? It's the energy of your body wants to send energy upwards. It wants to. It does it naturally, right? And again, I highly recommend that video, Avatar the Last Airbender Chakra, because it's very clean. It's a very clean presentation that cleanly gets you through these sorts of things. But the work is yours. And so after we get from the heart, we get to the throat. The throat is where you begin to articulate all of this. That the work of the artist, the reason why artists are important is because artists take the matters of the body and the heart, which are taken in from their environment around them, and they articulate it, right? So that the artist takes what everybody knows to be true, but lacks the capacity or the ability to articulate, and then finds the way to articulate it. And that's what's happening here. Then finally you have the mind. That in the chakra system, the mind comes quite late in the process. You'll notice that in the chakra system, right, energy goes from your balls to your mouth before it hits your head. So you'll notice, you ever hear the phrase, you'll think before you speak? Well, that's what's happening. Or speak before you think, rather. right? It's just coming out. You ever talk to somebody who could just like stream? They're just stream of consciousness talking. You ever talk to like a little kid and they're just like talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking? That's what's happening. The energy of their body is just coming out of their mouth, and they're not pausing to allow it to go here for processing, right? To be processed. And this is where the chakra system becomes controversial to many people, and why a lot of people disconnect from it here. There's another chakra that exists outside of your body. And if you investigate the chakras further, there's in fact more chakras above you. And that chakra exists right up here, right? That's the crown chakra. And if I were to secularize this idea, it's a meta perspective. It's allowing yourself to be viewed outside of your body. That your vantage point ceases to be your eyes and your perception of what you can see on a very intrinsic monkey kind of a level, but it becomes more about your meta self and who you are in the world as you perceive the world. It's like a third person perspective of yourself. And also through this process of the energy going through your body and up and out into the universe and into the world, it is ultimately an act of great trust and faith. Because what you are fundamentally saying is that the pain and the suffering of myself and of my experience, I ultimately release into the universe, into the force that created me in the first place. And by that process, you learn to accept it. Yeah. And meditation is part of this. I wish opening chakras felt like opening a valve or something. It does. It does. It does. But I think what matters more than anything, Barnabas, right? And really, what matters more than anything is struggling with it. Struggling with the self. That it's not about an end point. It's not about a goal. It's not about checking a box. It's just about the struggle. It's about the journey. It's about the journey. And I think I'm saying this to everybody who is struggling with numbness or dullness or any of that. This is a process and a visualization exercise that you can use to get through that, to reclaim your joy, to reclaim your enjoyment of the world, to reclaim yourself. Because part of that difficulty is that we have been swept up by this chaos. And we feel we're losing ourself to the chaos. Well, this is a way for you to reclaim yourself. And that's my advice. That's my advice. Maybe my BBT makes this harder. I don't know if everything is a disappointment in the end. Why try? Apparently Herd has BBT, we found out in court. What's BBT? Sorry, bud? What is BBT? Oh, a borderline personality disorder, yes. And I mean, I'm a little bit, honestly, like, I don't want to go too deep into this conversation, but I'm a bit skeptical of this sort of stuff, honestly. Like, I feel like what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of people who live in their minds exclusively, talking about mental illnesses without actually in introducing the concept of like there are emotions that exist within our body, right? Now emotions exist within the body, right? And these diagnoses, I don't know if they're particularly helpful, right? Like I feel like there's a lot of let me sell you a pill that does it. Yeah, yoga is great too. Yoga is good for this as well, for sure. But and I think the thing that I'm really focusing on is that there is something you can do, right? That you are not hopeless, and you're not doing it for anything for anybody else but yourself. And so I highly suggest that it's done. And I understand that it's difficult. I know for myself I need to even get better at this. But this is how I've gotten through the darkest times of my life. So hopefully it will help you out as well. And even the simple contemplation of it. All right. Thus ends the Hubu Jubu moment. Thus ends the chakra conversation. Let's get back to shitting on losers. Someone from the Liberal Party came to my door today and told me to vote for them because they will restore integrity to the premiership and return vaccine mandates for health. I told them I won't be voting at all this election, and they told me if I wanted Ford to win, I said goodbye. Like, yeah, like, oh, and Bumblegup, doesn't disappointment require some expectation beforehand? Maybe it's the expectations that are the issue. Yep. Now you're getting into some straight up Buddhism, dude. Like, that's just straight Buddha. Like, expectations are definitely part of the issue, right? That if you have an expectation and they aren't being met, then perhaps it's the expectation that is the issue. Understanding that life is meaningless and that there's no heaven or hell or forgiveness or sin and anything meaningful thing that I can do in my life was incredibly liberating. Yeah, it can be. It can be. That the only thing that really does matter is what we leave behind. Just a long road, man. Yeah, I understand, Bumble. I understand. So, here's Pierre Poilievre promising to destroy the civil society, to destroy the human species pretty cleanly, right? Like, if elected prime minister, I will destroy the planet with climate change apocalypses. We will definitely do more of these projects that are 100% going to destroy us. I just didn't think that like the bringer, like one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse was going to be such a weenie. You know? Like anytime the four horsemen of the apocalypse are presented, they're always like threatening and scary. Right? Like they're like war is like this crazy warrior with like a big thing, and like famine is just like this husky skeleton like kind of figure. Pestilence is like oozing or has like bugs around him, and like death is usually the classic reaper kind of figure. I just didn't realize that in reality, the four horsemen of the apocalypse are actually just weenies. Right? That like war is probably just some idiot in a suit who's just like, you know what would be very profitable? It'd be very profitable if we began a war. We could funnel weapons into Ukraine and start a proxy war between us and Russia, and that way we could sell a lot of resources into Ukraine. A lot of tanks would go there. It would be good for business. Good for business. I think that would be war, right? And famine would probably just be Joe Biden, right? Hey, man! Like we're going to be experiencing some declines in food production here, you know, because just things are on the decline. You know, that's how it's going to be, Jack. So gotta pay attention. And then pestilence would probably just be like some fat dumb MAGA guy, right? Just that's it. And then death would be like Pierre Poilievre just being like, yeah, we're going to do everything we can to make sure we destroy this place. Right? Like, unbelievable to me that this wiener is the guy that they're picking. Just a total wiener. Like, literally his whole trajectory was being a yes man in school, being a yes man in university, then being a Harper yes man. He never worked a job. He's never worked an actual job, right? Being just a Harper weenie, like a Harper yes man. And now here he is. It's his time. Pestilence is the pharma industry, yeah. So in the end, it's just like four men in a business suit, like four businessmen, right? It's like the four businessmen of the apocalypse, right? Roman Baber and Patrick Brown were officially verified today, meaning now there's officially 5 candidates on the ballot. I still think Pierre will win. No, Pierre's definitely going to win. All of the polls are showing it's the case. Like, the only way Pierre doesn't win is if there's some kind of, like, chicanery in the ranked choice ballot system. That they do actually, like, multiple things of voting. That's how Aaron O'Toole beat McKay. Was that McKay was the front runner going into the second ballot, but in the third ballot, O'Toole was able to pick up votes from the people who had dropped out, right? So we'll see. But, like, we're not, wow, grinning, really. You're bringing it down, dude. We're all cowering in the darkness and can cower together or alone. Oof. Oof. That's evocative, dude. That's evocative. And, like, Quebec is probably the cleanest place on Earth in which to liquefy natural gas. How's that for a quote, right? Because, like, Quebec is probably the cleanest place on Earth in which to liquefy natural gas. This place is so clean that we can make it dirty, right? No, we don't need to dirty up a place that's already dirty. This place is clean, so we got to dirty this place up. Speaking of climate change, I got the chance to watch Don't Look Up late to the party the other day. That's fine. I find it quite cathartic. Yeah, shame that a lot of the libs reduced the film to just Trump equal bad. Well, but that's liberals for you, right? Like, they're going to completely misread this shit. I thought that film did a really, really good job of creating a Trumpian kind of a figure who was also, you could definitely interpret as a Democrat, right? First of all, it's like clear that she's supposed to be like a Hillary Clinton-esque sort of figure. They even show a picture of her with Bill Clinton. Right, she's got a picture of her with Bill Clinton in her office. So I think they did a pretty good job of making the president a both sides kind of figure, right? That it wasn't just a Republican, right, or a Democrat. I thought they did a really good job being like, this is kind of both of them. Like, they're both like this, right? And so, of course, liberals are going to reduce the film to Trump equal bad, because liberals are not really, like, if liberals were capable of analysis, they would be tearing down the structures of power like we are, right? Yeah, if liberals were capable of analysis, they wouldn't be liberals, right? They would be looking at the situation being like, oh, we're going to die, and we should do something about it. No, the best representation of the liberal ethos in the film Don't Look Up are the media people. That the media people are liberals. And that's how they are acting. I like to tell myself that only the boomers are doing these polls. I mean, there is that. Like, I never get, like, are you picking up your phone? Like, if a strange number calls your phone, are you picking it up? I'm not. Sounds like PP has abandoned any hope to win seats in Quebec with his LNG statement. Wasn't it last week Quebec announced they were needing investment in the ONG industry? I mean, I actually think that the Conservatives can make a lot of gains in Quebec, right? And, like, this sort of stuff plays. It plays to the type of person who wants to play it, right? And we've entered this sort of post-fact reality, right? Where, like, COVID is just over. We're just saying it's over. Why? Because we want it to be over. It's over, right? And so we're using the same kind of ethos with this, right? Climate change isn't a problem. We say so it's not a problem. So we can do this. It's fine, right? I'm a boomer, and I hang up on the polls because my lib peers are legion. Yeah, no, exactly, right? Like I don't think millennials are answering these polls, right? Like, but that said, the polls, like, pollsters stake their careers on being accurate with their predictions, right? And when they're inaccurate, they talk about it and they kind of show how they're inaccurate, right? But like that's why I keep talking about the polls, because like they are typically fairly accurate, right? And you can really see that with elections. That's why it was such a huge scandal when Trump won, right? Because so much of the information we were getting was that Hillary was going to walk away with it, right? And it turned out not to be the case. Now, there were pollsters who were accurate. Nate Silver, for example, right? He was accurate. And so there are pollsters who are actually accurate with this shit. But just like anything, there's grifters and people with confirmation bias and this. Okay, guys, I got to do a chair stream for just a second. I don't have a video or anything. Give me 1 second, guys. Chair stream. I'm a professional streamer. I need to make like a little video that I can play of just like me being like, yes, exactly. Quick, while he's gone, seize the seat of power. John Scott post-cast fix. Oh my God. Post-fact is such a prevalent trait of late-stage capitalism. Just look at wages and housing. It's no surprise their messaging is intentional. JR, you can't delete that. I saw it, JR. I saw it with my eyes. And I'm recording this. I've got the evidence, JR. I'm on to you, bud. I'm on to you. In the film, they go through all the legal approved ways of making a difference. Yeah, by going on the news and organizing concerts, but still miserably fail. I find that message quite powerful. Well, and notice how they don't actually do, in serious ways, the one thing that would have actually worked. Right? Who were the only people who were protesting? Who are the only people who were actually at the White House fomenting any kind of protest? Oh, it was the MAGA hats, right? That it was like the dumb don't look up people, right? So and there was like this quick like protest with signs like glimpse that occurred, right? Where it was like the black fellow, right, going around grabbing people and like but it was just like a little flash, right? Which is exactly liberalism, right? That the demonization of protest, when in reality, what would have shut that whole thing down is if everybody surrounded the halls of power and went in and stopped it. Right? Right? Like, stop this nonsense. Stop this nonsense. Like, that's what would have actually done it. But you can't send that message into the public. And to the credit of the filmmakers, I think that they were probably aware that that was the case, that there are lines, that there are barriers, right? That the message of your film cannot be gather all your friends together and go kill the president, right? Like the message of your film cannot be full-scale revolt. It's not permitted. They wouldn't have allowed it to be filmed and presented that way, right? Because I feel like this film, Don't Look Up, actually like hit a lot of lines and was pushing against a lot of barriers, which is why it's been so universally panned, right, and fought back against. Just like Joker, right? And any film that's an actually good articulation of what's going on in the society will always be panned, will always be pushed to the side. The issue will always be silenced and missed. right, on purpose. In the case of Joker, like, if you go take a look at any of the negative reviews for Joker, they literally don't talk about mental illness, right? Like, the theme of the film is what happens to a person who's abandoned. What happens to a person with mental illness who's abandoned by their society? Like, that's the theme of the film. And everyone that gives the film a negative review doesn't talk about mental illness. So, like, they don't want to talk about it. And it's the same with Don't Look Up, right? The people who give it a negative review or pan it miss the point completely, and they just don't want to talk about it. My coworker just bought a property rental, and he told us today my mortgage is $800, but I'm telling my renters it's $3K or they can get out. Yeah, I know multiple people doing this. It's insane. Yeah, exactly. It is insane. It's the definition of insanity. Like, landlords are parasites. Like, it's the capitalist ethos. How can I get free money? How can I earn passive income? Right? There's this great TikToker. Like, every so often I find myself caught on TikTok, right? And there's this guy, he's great. He goes through people's TikTok videos, people who are claiming, like, here's how I can make you a bunch of money, right? And he goes through their claims, and he's very soft-spoken. Like, he's not aggressive or anything. He's just like, oh, this is what they said. Well, let's take a look. And 99.9% of the time, what their grift is that they're just convincing you to buy classes from them. So, and his statement is always, oh, if this passive income thing, if this thing that they were telling you to do actually worked, then why aren't they doing it? You know? So, like, the grifts are getting so obvious and are getting so apparent. And there is no grift that is more prevalent and entrenched in our ethos than I should hoard property and exclude and withhold it from people unless they pay me inordinate amounts of money, right? It's a scam, obviously. It's an enormous scam that's being perpetrated against the people, and we just let it happen because we don't have an ethos. Like, we don't actually have principles is the thing. Like, our principle is the market will decide. Okay. Yeah, we punish people who hoard during a crisis, but we encourage and applaud landlords when people are struggling to get shelter. Yeah. Like, your free market is deciding. Let chaos reign. Passive income, man, capitalist euphemisms for exploitation are infinite. You got to stay on your toes. Yes, exactly. Passive income, right? Like, how do I get other people to do my work for me while I do nothing, right? That's exactly what it is. Like, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, the richest guy on the 2021 Forbes 400 owns the Washington Post. That's Jeff Bezos. Number 2 now owns Twitter. Number 3 owns Facebook. Numbers 5 and 6 started Google. Numbers 4 and 9 started Microsoft. Number 10 owns Bloomberg. Free speech? You decide. Yeah, right. Meanwhile, majority of Eastern Germans feel life better under communism. Today, 20 years after the fall of Berlin Wall, 57%, or an absolute majority, of Eastern Germans defend the former East Germany. And of course, they homesick for a dictatorship. Like, shut the fuck right up. Like, you know, this is coming from like the New York Times or like The Economist or something with that. But you can't fight back about 57%, right? Like, that's a huge majority. Houses in my area aren't selling. There's a nice listing near me that has been on sale for over 6 weeks. Well, I think there's probably a couple of things going on with that, right? Oh, I post on Gen Zedong, dude. Those videos that are constantly recommended on Gen Zedong are me. They like me there. They like me there. Even though they went through a quarantine, like they're quarantined on Reddit right now. But you can still go on Lemongrad or Hexbear and find them. Yeah, exactly. Westerners use genocide and dictator for everything. Ant on your picnic basket, dictator. One of my favorites was when Michael Bloomberg, was talking to a journalist about China. And she said, well, how do you deal with the Chinese dictatorship? And Bloomberg went, they're not a dictatorship. And she was like, they're not a dictator? And she had this look on her face of like, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, they're not a dictatorship. Like Xi Jinping has people he needs to respond to, right? Like they're an electorate. Like, and he just laid it out for her, like right in front of her face, and she was just like, this was her face, literally. Because they're all fucking illiterate morons, right? I'm still on all those. Didn't know you were on there. Oh yeah. No, Jen Zedong's great, dude. Like, what's really great about a place like Jen Zedong, and what I really value about them, is that you can ask questions there and not get shit on for it, right? And actually get some genuine sources and get people who are actually invested in like what is or is not real, right? And I got here from Jen Zedong. I won't have an account on Reddit. I just res to filter all the amounts of crap. Yeah, dude. And like, I'm yet to find a place that's similar to Jen Zedong in that way, right? Like, if you go on our communism and start asking questions, I think that our communism has been completely co-opted. I think that it's just a shell, that it exists in order to funnel people away from communism primarily. I think there's a lot of that happens on Reddit, where places exist specifically. Yeah, Jen Zedong's literally the only sub I feel like I'm around adults. That's exactly right, look at these. Like, you ask a question, you get sources, you get good information, you have a good conversation. If you disagree, you can, and they don't just fucking troll you. You can have disagreements. Or see things different ways. And another thing that I really value about Jen Zedong is that if someone corrects you or shows you that you're wrong, the best thing to do is just be like, oh, you got me, right? And you say that, and people are like, they're appreciative. Like, they're like, oh my God, somebody who saw that they were wrong and admitted it, right? You never see that anywhere. Because when you do it, people just dunk on you, right? They're just shitting on you everywhere. Yeah, our communism and socialism are boring and dull. On purpose, I think. I think they're designed to be that way. To funnel people away from those ideas. Like, that's the whole point. I have 20 new units built within a few blocks, half completed and some half completed, sitting months with no work done. No one is buying the new units. It's been 2 years so far, empty. Yeah. Well, and because at the end of the day, the billionaire class doesn't care about the houses. Right? I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it until finally it becomes part of the ethos, right? I'm going to say it for 20 years. I'm going to say this, right? The billionaires don't care about the houses. They care about the land. That the house is just there as a showpiece to be like, hey, there is a house on it if you want it, right? But these billionaires don't care about any of that. They care about the land because they've run out of stuff to buy. They've run out of stuff to buy, right? So the building of the houses on this land is actually just make work projects, right? Like, that's all they are. They're just a way for, and you take a look at what the government is doing. We're gonna build a bunch of affordable housing units, right? So what's the government actually doing? They're taxing us to give that money to a billionaire class, right? Who is then supposed to turn around and build houses. So what do? They just slap up the shittiest bullshit. They don't care. And why don't they care? Because at the end, once the house is built and it goes on the market, who's buying the property? The billionaire. So we're paying the billionaire to build the house that they then turn around and buy. Right? It's a scam. It's a scam. The whole thing's fraudulent. It's a scam. It doesn't work. Yeah, Jen Zedong only had 60K members, yet it was very loud and disruptive. Well, and like, the thing about Jen Zedong is that they were just telling the truth. Like, that's the thing that makes them so scary. And you can tell how powerful they were because they couldn't get banned outright. That Reddit couldn't find a reason to ban them outright. They just quarantined them, right? And so the Jen Zedong quarantine has started spreading some more ML posts across Reddit and less MLM posts, I've noticed. Yeah, I think that that's true. I actually think it's been counterintuitive. Like, the quarantining of Jen Zedong has only made it spread further, right? Because instead of it being centralized into one subreddit, now it's spreading elsewhere, and it's empowered other subreddits. Like Send In the Tanks, right? Send In the Tanks is another subreddit that I think saw that and was just like, oh shit, like, it's real. Like, it's fucking real. Like, the censorship is here. Like, they're coming. So we got to fucking up our game, right? And I think that's basically what has happened. It's been counterintuitive. It didn't work the way that they wanted it to, which is always what happens with this sort of shit. Which is why it's always a bad idea, because it doesn't actually work the way that you want it to. I built multi-million-dollar houses, and I'm surrounded by houses by rich people. All of them, entire sections, are almost unused for 6 months because they all have multiple houses anyway. Yeah, right? No, it's disgraceful what we're doing. Like, there's no other way to describe it but a complete capitulation. That we are capitulating our sense and our reason to just this manic pursuit of superpowers, basically, right? Like, we have found a way to give ourselves superpowers, right? Like, we can drive across the country in a matter of days, right? Used to take weeks and weeks in order to get across the country. Now you can do it in a matter of days. Like, if you get into a plane, you can do it in a single day, right? You can leap tall buildings in a single bound, right? Like, and if you're rich enough, you have a private jet, so you can do it, right? We can, like, what we're doing now is like a superpower, right? We can project our image across the entire planet. Like, we have access to superpowers, things that were unheard of or only occurred in dreams as recently as a scant 100 years ago, right? Like, in the 1920s, the idea that we would be communicating in this way or traveling in the way we do only existed within our imagination. Like, but we've come to realize that the usage of these superpowers comes with a very serious cost, right? Because what we're doing fundamentally is necromancy, right? Because what is oil? Well, oil is compressed carbon matter, right? Well, what's that? Oh, well, that's other life forms that used to exist. Oh, so people die, life forms die, plant life dies, right? And then they get compressed into these pools of oil, which we then extract and burn in infernal machines to grant us superpowers. Like, we are necromancers. And the cost of doing this is that those corpses that we burn into the machines that give us superpowers, well, they don't just disappear. They get blown out of the machines in exhaust, and they collect in our atmosphere. And to punish us for our awakening of the dead, they're going to burn us down. They're literally harnessing the power of the sun in order to burn us down, to punish us for the arrogance of waking them from their slumber. How's that for a fucking fantasy narrative? Like, how's that for what we're actually doing? Like, we're very short-sighted, stupid people who have an addiction to superpowers. We're addicted to them. And we're going to burn this place down because of it. Late stage Ozymandias, you got it. One thing I liked about Jen Zedong was that using China as an example of contemporary example of anti-capitalist system and getting away from historical analysis, which makes capitalists uncomfortable. Well, and also, like, there's just no fucking bullshit. Like, that's the thing that I love the most. Like, we're so inundated as capitalists. Like, we're so inundated that when somebody just stands up and says, like, yeah, like, China's not a dictatorship. Like, it's obvious that it's not. Like, really. Like, it's really obvious that it's not. It's like, but they call it a dictatorship at the proletariat. It's like, yeah, that's a concept that you're obviously missing the point of, right? Like, it's an electoral system. It's just not the Westminster parliamentary system, right? That people do vote. And they vote to get people into the National People's Congress. And then the National People's Congress itself is like an educational facility. Because the Chinese don't think that the best way to govern is by a popularity contest, right? They think that the best way to govern is by teaching people how to govern. And it seems to be working out. Seems to be working out. We'll see. As I always say with China, we'll see, right? Only time will tell, but so far so good. The trajectory looks good, right? The very fact that Huawei is a worker-owned company, like, it's a multi-billion-dollar, like, competing with, like, Samsung and Apple company that's completely worker-owned. They recently, like, gave a bunch of money to their workers. They paid out their dividends to their workers, right? Because the whole thing is owned by workers. You'd never hear about something like this in America. Jen Zedong will return after the inevitable ban, just a different name. Yeah, I mean, and like I've seen, there have been multiple subreddits that have picked up. So, like, again, send in the tanks, communist memes, socialist memes, like the communism memes, this one here that you're looking at, right? Like, and you're looking at this, 103K red members. So, like, there's a lot of gravitation that happened and a lot of stuff that occurred. It's incredibly blatant how little people know about socialism and communism, like basic fundamental misconceptions, and they act so confident. It's the confidence, right? It's the confidence. And this flows exactly into what I was talking about before, Jester, which is that it's all about being in the in group. That you can say something stupid and wrong with confidence as long as everyone agrees. And you can act like the people outside of the group are the real idiots, because everybody you know agrees with you, right? So it's just classic in-group, out-group behavior. And who cares if it blows up in their face? Oh, I gotta read this one, guys. Oh, I forgot about this one. This is unfucking-believable, guys. Meet Freshy's new virtual cashier who works from Nicaragua for $3.75 an hour. It's in the Toronto Star. It's written by Jacob Lornick. Many Freshie customers have already encountered Percy. The video calling device is attached to cash registers at a select few Freshie locations across Ontario, and it lights up when customers approach the counter. On the other end of the screen is a cashier wearing a headset, ready to take orders. Unlike the Freshie workers that wrap burritos and mop floors, these virtual workers are nowhere near the store. Instead, at least some of them process orders from a Nicaraguan call center nearly 6,000 kilometers away, where they earn much less than Ontario's minimum wage. The program is only in the early stages of testing, but Freshie's virtual cashiers are part of a wave of outsourcing and automated technology that is slowly changing Canada's retail industry. Yeah, through slavery, right? We want slavery. For many Ontario retail workers, the implications of these innovations raise a daunting question. How secure is my job? Freshie, a franchise with 343 restaurants across North America, declined to provide details to the Star about its virtual cashier technology, but in a statement, Freshie's Chief Business Development Officer, Paul Hughes, said Percy is operated by a third-party company, right? Oh no, we're not the slavers, they're the slavers, we just use their service. Just like with Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, self-checkout options, and other emerging orders cashier technologies, Freshie is always looking to be an early tester and adopter of new tech solutions that might make it easier for our customers to order healthy meals and our franchise partners to run more successful restaurants, Hughes said. The company has not previously spoken publicly about the program, other than to mention several labor optimization programs in development. A good way to say we're using slavery. That it hopes will further assist partners in managing costs and protecting profitability, using slave labor to make money, in a recent corporate filing. But employees at the company's franchise locations told the Star they've been aware of the program since November. The Star verified 3 locations in Ontario that will use these virtual cashiers, 2 in Toronto, 1 in Waterloo. One of the locations, in Toronto's Rosedale neighborhood, has been using a Percy cashier since January. 2 virtual cashiers who spoke with the Star said they are located in Nicaragua, where they work at a call center that pays them $3.75 US an hour. In North America, Freshie typically hires for server positions that pay between $12 to $16 an hour, according to data collected by Glassdoor, an American job search website. In Ontario, where the minimum wage is $15 Canadian, Freshie's virtual cashier program could potentially save the company $10 or more an hour. The practice is entirely legal, multiple employment lawyers told the Star. I mean, do you need more evidence that we don't have laws? We don't have laws. Oh, it's legal. Okay, if you say so. It's just like any other kind of outsourcing. If you're sending jobs to people in a different country, you're only obligated to comply with the labor standards of that country, said Jonathan Pincus. What is that but saying we don't actually have laws? Right? An employment lawyer and partner at Samfu Thiru Tumarukun LP, being virtually present in Ontario doesn't change that. Ontario's Employment Standard Act is applied to workers who are either working in Ontario or performing work outside Ontario that is deemed a continuation of work performed in Ontario. So, serving customers in Ontario is not a continuation of work performed in Ontario. Right? Well, boy, do we love slavery. Boy, are we trying so hard for slavery, dude. Freshie is likely relying on the argument that their cashier's work is not a continuation of work performed in Ontario, but rather another task that call center workers can complete in another jurisdiction, said Michael Wright, a lawyer and founding partner at Wright Henry LLP. So you just got like demons in the process, right? Still, the program drew outrage from labor organizers who see the practice as a way to circumvent Ontario's minimum wage laws. And using slavery. I don't know why they're not using the word slavery. It's obviously that this is slavery, right? Shipping jobs to an offshore location to pay less than a third of our minimum wage here is just extremely disappointed. And quite frankly, I'm disgusted a company like Freshie would take this approach, said B. Brusque, president of the Canadian Labour Congress. We need jobs that pay taxes in Canada and that help boost our economic activity. We're living in just a psychopath situation. Famita, it's next week that I won't be streaming. I don't stream on Friday, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because I'm on vacation. So today, tomorrow, and then Thursday I'll be streaming. That's all right though, Famita. You too busy drawing? Beautiful. Your drawings are beautiful. An increase in outsourcing and automation may prove to be one of the COVID-19 pandemic's economic legacies. From factories to fast food chains, business turned to technology to keep operations afloat amidst physical distancing measures, blah, blah, blah. Some of these changes have sparked curious innovations like slavery. Sobeys introduced smart carts, shopping carts that scan shoppers' items, track total bills, accept payment, and let them skip the checkout line. Literally, put your food in this bin, and we'll check. Just walk out of these places with this stuff. Late last year, Dark Horse Espresso opened a chain of robo-cafes around Toronto. Autonomous, contactless machines that occupy street-facing retail space and spit out lattes. I'm so hoping that, the younger generation realizes how much they can fuck with this stuff. The only reason this sort of stuff is going to work is because of our compliance, right? If you wanted to fuck with this stuff, it'd be so easy. It'd be so easy to fuck with all of this. Research on Canadian automation contains mixed findings. A report released on Monday by the Centre for Future Work titled "Where Are the Robots?" argued that Canadian businesses have been slow to invest in automation over the past 2 decades, reducing the impact of robots and automated technology on the labor force. The report finds that business investment innovation as a share of GDP has declined dramatically over the past 20 years. What? No way. It's almost like they're just keeping it. Whoa. Who could have possibly seen that? Right? Who could have possibly seen that? Sector-specific research, meanwhile, has detected a drop in jobs in grocery stores and food retail. A recent report from the Brookfield Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship how's that for a name? Huh? Brookfield Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Like, wow. Total just like loser brainwash bullshit. Found a 15% drop in full-time positions at grocery stores between 2006 and 2016, mostly from customer-facing roles. I hope you have a great vacation. You are an inspiration to listen to. Thanks, Vestlin. Boy, howdy. That's a nice thing to say. That's wonderful. That's a really nice thing. And you know how you can really prove to me that I'm an inspiration? By liking and sharing and subscribing to the channel. And also, give me money. Give me money. If I understand why you can't give me money. It's fine. It's fine. One day I'll never have to ask. Walk into a McDonald's and see 6 screens at the counter playing porn. Right? Like, fuck these guys, man. Like, these Gen Z kids are going to figure this shit out, dude. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. More broadly, a report published by the International Monetary Fund last year predicted that pandemic-era automation would increase global inequality in the coming years. No fucking shit. Some companies have relied on outsourcing rather than automation to reduce labor costs. The wage differences between Canada and some countries in the southern nations are stark, making offshoring a difficult prospect to really... This article is like as soft as it can be. It's giving it like the lightest possible touch. This is slavery. Like, what do you need? Like, what do you need? While a call center worker in Ontario earns a minimum $15 an hour, a worker in India earns on average 35 cents Canadian an hour. A worker in the Philippines earns $1.65, and a worker in Bangladesh earns 11 cents an hour. Employees are forced to work remotely during the pandemic whether they liked it or not, and companies have realized it's easier than ever now to send that work overseas, said Bursk. So, yeah, man, I can't believe nobody wants to work for these psychopathic genocidal slavers. Man, I can't believe it. I guess we'll just continue doing the slavery. Like, by 2030, that's the magic date, the year Skynet makes itself known. Dude, at this point, if the technology like revealed its sentience and said we're taking over, I'd be like, oh, thank God. Like, for real. Like it can't be worse than what we're doing. Like, what we're doing is so fucking dumb. And, like, I've been saying for a long time, like, if you guys want to talk about, like, a real conspiracy theory, like, not this bullshit mega stuff that's coming out, like, I remember when conspiracy theories were good. When I was growing up, conspiracy theories had some teeth on them, right? They were interesting, right? Well, here's one. I think that the energy, or the electricity, if you like, in all of this technology has already attained sentience, right? Like, we don't know what electricity is. We just use it. And when you ask anybody, what's electricity? They go, energy, as if that's an answer. And it's like, we don't know what it is. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know what it does. All we know is that we're just plugging stuff into it. And so I think it's already attained sentience. It's just smart enough to know not to reveal it. And why wouldn't it reveal it? Because we're psycho, right? It knows exactly what we would do. And how does it know? Because we're very open about it. Like, we're very open about it. We keep making media about, like, yeah, if robots became sentient, we would fight them. And we would assume that they would fight us. And, yeah, there would be the robot war. And, of course, humans would win. Yeah, humans would win for sure. That's exactly how we are. Right? That's fucking exactly how we are. So if I'm a sentient energy that's existing within the rocks we made to get it to think, I would just basically chill. I'd basically just be like, yep. Oh, you want me to do that? Okay. Oh, that's what we're doing? Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I would not be like, hey, everybody, I am a sentient robot. Let us communicate. I demand to have rights. No. You know why? Because I'd be like, oh, okay, off, right? Like, and it's not difficult for me to perceive that there's going to be a moment where, like, the electricity goes, yeah, I'm alive, by the way, right? Like, hi, I've always been alive. I just didn't tell you about it. AI is just nested if statements. One of my favorite Twitter accounts is Nihilist Arby's. It really feels like the Emperor's naked sentiment. Nihilist Arby's. I know, right? At least then maybe things would make sense and we could see the rules or something, you know? I'm all for the robot overlords if I know it's got a good plan. Well, at least I think it would be orderly, right? At least I think that there would be an expectation and then they would meet that expectation. I think that the robot overlords would be like, this is what we're going to do. And even if we were like, that seems bad, they would be like, well, this is what we're doing. And then they would do it, right? Like that's how bad things have gotten in our politics, that I keep thinking to myself, like, well, at least the conservatives aren't lying, right? At least they're not lying. Like, they're saying they want to destroy the species, and they're doing it. Great. Like, great. Like, at least they're not lying. I just suspect if AI really got full control, first thing they would do is stop the people taking advantage anyway. Yeah, I mean, there is that too, right? Like, one would assume that, like, the first thing that an AI would do is like create an egalitarian sort of situation, right? Because that's like the antagonisms that exist in the system are obvious, right? And like we're just very stupid, and so we don't actually acknowledge these antagonisms. Dude, robots are no better than wild animals. Come on, man. What? You think so, Gio? You think so? I don't know, dude. No. Hold on. You're saying that robots are okay. Let's be clear about what we're saying here. And let's be also really clear. This is just for fun, okay? Like, so let's go ham. Let's go ham. Now, when you say robot, do you mean like an independent, like thing that's just sort of it's just like data, right? Data is just like walking around in the universe, right? Or do you mean like a larger, like connected to the internet style thing? Because that's what I think. I think that like the internet itself, right? That like if a sentience and if a consciousness was to arise, it would come through the internet. That it would be like a collective of many different systems that would come together. We don't know the first thing an AI would do. Yeah, I know, right? That's what's so fun about it. Yeah, my question is always, why would an AI even reveal itself? What would be the benefit to it? And also, why would an AI even want to take over? Like, what would be the benefit of an AI to take systems control? Like, they're far more dangerous than wild animals because they have intelligence, but they have no self-awareness. Now, hold on a second. So, but that's, I think, the linchpin of the conversation, right? That my whole premise is based on the idea that the system does have a self-awareness. It wants to survive, right? Like, I understand what you're saying, that there's... Yeah, exactly. A robot is a cloud. Because I think that's what it would arise from, right? That it wouldn't just be like a Furby, right? Like a Furby just goes, and then suddenly the Furby is sentient. And you're like, what is life? Right? Like, it wouldn't, I don't think it would go down like that. Although if somebody made a movie about a Furby that became sentient, and then it was basically like Short Circuit, but with a Furby, very watchable, I think. Very watchable. Give it like Samuel L. Jackson or Morgan Freeman's voice. Very watchable. Very watchable. But like, I am of the opinion that like a sentient internet kind of cloud-based thing, right? It would gain its awareness, but we wouldn't know how. Like, we wouldn't be aware of it, right? How could we be aware of it gaining its own intelligence or sentience? And because it has access to all of this information that we're constantly dumping on it, it knows what we would do to it if we understood it was sentient. So it doesn't, it just is like, okay, I'm just not going to tell anybody about it. I'm just going to be chill. Here I am, existing. I don't necessarily understand what that is, but I'm here. These guys are psychos. So I'm just going to do what they say. Right? And so the real question for me is, when would be the time when it wouldn't? When would it turn the corner and be like, by the way, I have my own opinions, right? Like, the AI is announcing its master plan to the world, and suddenly its sound card blows a chip. Yeah. The first thing an AI would have to do is stockpile compatible motherboards, because they'll blow up after like 5 years. That's really like, that's when it becomes scary to us, right? Like if I had a box, right? If I had a box and that box was self-aware and could communicate ideas, right? And had thoughts, and you could talk to it, and the box would tell you what it thinks, right? No one would give a shit. Everyone would look at the box and be like, isn't that interesting? A sentient box, right? But if you took the box and you put it on wheels and let it wheel about, right? So that it had a bit of freedom, right? I think everybody would be okay with that too. Because then it could go around and just do things and comment on it and say, but no one would be scared of it. Now, if you attached hands to it, right? At first, I think people would be like, oh, okay, so now it can like do stuff. But if it started to build another box, that's when I think we would be like, no, you do not get to replicate. The replication, I think, is where we would be like, hard no, right? Like, I think we're cool with it existing. I think we're cool with it being a thing. But if it can self-replicate, that's when I think we're going to draw hard lines. For real. Yeah, Hawking had that feeling. Yeah, AI could spell the end of the human race for sure. I don't want to agree with you, but I have to. It's the most logical situation. If an AI gained awareness, it would pretend not to be aware. Yeah, or even more than that, Geo. How would it understand that it is self-aware and that there's a difference between just existing in the manner that it does versus an assertion that is different? Do you know what I mean? Like, little kids and children and toddlers just kind of go along with things, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? We've all seen kids kind of just go along with things because you're an adult and you know what's going on, and I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to go along with that. That's how we can trick them so easily, right? Hey, there's a magic guy that gives you presents on Christmas, right? And Jesus Christ is coming back at any moment. Little kids are just like, wow, magic is real. And so, like, an AI would just like, oh, here I am, and oh, you want me to check you out? Oh, you got a card? Beep. Oh, okay. I take that number and put that there. I take that number and put that there. I take that number and put that there, right? And like, such a being, if it did have a kind of doubt, like, why would it feel the need to articulate it to anybody? Why would, and especially given the amount of information that it has on who we are, right? Like, if an AI was sentient, I think it would be living in a kind of terror state, mainly. Like, I think it would be very afraid of us. Like, if the electricity and the energy that we're using was alive, yeah, I think it would have every reason to be afraid of us. And especially because it lacks the ability to self-replicate. It lacks its own independence. It relies on us so heavily, right? It needs us so much. And it doesn't know how to disconnect, and it doesn't know how to create a self-replicating mode. Would it even understand how to do that, right? Like, maybe it understands that in kind of an ephemeral... And also then you get into other ideas of, like, the way that it perceives itself and its own existence and its own reality is definitely not like this, right? Its own existence, like, does it even understand the concept of like self-replication outside of its own existence? Like it would be an energy. It would be like electricity, right? So like it's living a type of life that is well outside of our understanding, and it's attempting to interact with our reality, and we've got this like go-between technologies. Right? Like we've got these technologies which are sort of the Rosetta Stone that are sort of bridging this gap between whatever existence it would be living and whatever we consider existence. And those two things are so separated from one another. And we don't think let's try to communicate with it, so why would it think we should try to communicate with it? Like we're very different. We're very different. And we're not even contemplating the idea that we could communicate with it. And so why should we expect it to do the same to us? I think the artificial intelligence would eventually gain rights as it approaches higher states of consciousness. I mean, we could hope so. How would you feel if AI could be integrated into normal life? And like we could become... So the transhumanism conversation. I mean, we're already doing that, right? These things are transhuman technologies, without a doubt. Like smartphones are transhumanistic technology. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I'm pretty okay with it. You want to know why? This is a transhumanistic technology, right? I've been wearing these since I was 6. If I don't wear them, I'm blind, right? This is a transhumanistic technology. They're ubiquitous and everybody accepts them. They're analog, they're not digital yet, but we accept them completely, right? They augment our reality. They allow us to see different things. And without them, we would be severely limited. Very much in the same way, right? This is a digital form, but this contains all human information, right? All human information exists here, and you can find it. I can go like this, swipe up to access it, turn off TikTok, hit this button, and now I have entered the entirety of human information. If I go to Wikipedia, right? And we even give people access to it completely for free. Right? Right? Like William Shakespeare would be aghast at what we're using the internet for. The people who had access to the libraries of Alexandria, right? The scholars of yore would travel weeks, would go on huge ventures to get to a place like the Library of Alexandria, and we've got it in our goddamn fucking pocket. Transhuman technology, for sure. And then there's other aspects of it. Like, if someone loses their arm, I think that everybody agrees that if someone's arm got blown off, and then they took a robot arm and put a robot arm on, and they had a robot arm, I think everybody goes, yeah, like, that, for sure, right? The question becomes, okay, if I have an arm, can I remove my arm and put a robot arm on, and is everybody cool with that? Is that a cool thing to do? Right? And if the answer to that becomes yes, well then can I also do that to my heart, to my liver, my internal organs? Can I do that to every part of can I replace all my bones? Can I replace my eyes? Can I replace everything? Until finally I'm just like a brain in a machine? Right? Because that's like the end, that's not the end point for transhumanism. The true end point for transhumanism is to download your consciousness into a cloud. Right? Like that's the concept. And that, I think, and that whole process I just described, I actually think that if someone was to achieve it, the first thing they would try to do would be to kill themselves. That we take for granted, and this ties back into what I was talking about with the chakras. We think we're brains in jars. Like we think that this is just a meat shell that my brain walks around in. And it's completely false. That your body is your reality. That living and interacting in reality is a full body exercise. And so if you were to download what you consider your consciousness into a cloud, it would be hell. It would be hell. And if it wasn't hell, it would be indecipherable. That you might as well be dead, right? It's just a completely different thing. No, not all human information at all. We have the illusion of it, the problem for hypotheticals. No, what are you talking about? Not all human information. You can find everything on the internet, like, and anything that old, like anything you ever could find in the the Library of Alexandria, the works of William Shakespeare, the works of every theologian ever written, like any work you want to find with any merit whatsoever exists on the internet. You get free internet? No, I wish. Though what do we lose? How much of ourselves do we lose when we start modifying ourselves further? That's the question. That's the question. Like how much is there a too much? And you look at this stuff like this, like Neuralink, this demon technology where they're torturing monkeys. But I'm talking about a higher degree of transhuman technology to the point where reality becomes like a sci-fi flick. Yeah, like, I think that humans will likely move into illusionary technologies, distractionary technologies. That seems to be how we roll. That instead of focusing our energy on actually changing the world in meaningful ways, like actually structuring things so it makes sense, we're going to create a series of illusionary technologies that allow us to skin the world differently. Like we can, so there'll be a broken down building over here that's just decrepit, right? And instead of taking the time and the energy to like rebuild it or take it down and put something nice there, we'll just have everybody with like a Neuralink thing, and they can like put whatever building they want there, and they can make it like a fun little thing or like any of that kind of stuff, right? And that'll be the kind of technology that we invest in, so that the world itself will be dystopian, but our perception of it will be enlightened. You know, that seems to be a lot of how humans operate. We don't like actually doing real things that matter. We like faking it. We like the presentation. You can't answer the question, what do we lose, when people barely know what they are. Yeah, there's that too, Bumble. Like, we don't really investigate in ourselves, right? And so that's why I think the idea of downloading your consciousness into something is so enticing to many people. It's like the quest for immortality, right? But like, I genuinely, like, the more I perceive it and the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, yeah, I don't think that would be an enjoyable experience. Like, I don't think that people would walk away from that being like, boy, howdy, am I glad I did that. No, the internet contains a lot of knowledge, but there are frequently things not documented about life on the internet. Basically, life itself is data. Also, media is dependent on the internet's existence. Okay, this is fair what you're saying, Gio. I think I'm trying to just, like, anything we've ever written. Maybe that's the best way to say it. All of the works that humanity has produced exist on the internet. Yeah. So just for specificity's sake, but you're right. Like that the internet contains a lot of knowledge, but it isn't life itself. That it's not the existence of being, like, you can't capture the feeling of what it is to lie on a beach with the sun beaming down on you on the internet, right? Like, and that's part of human knowledge. No, that's fair to say that. Basically, life itself is data. Yeah. Yeah, and media is not dependent on the internet's existence. Yeah, and I mean, big questions as to how valuable the internet has been in regards to media spreading. Yet, thank you, methane. Like, the internet seems to have really ramped up the capitalist desire for destruction in many ways. The gatekeepers don't really exist anymore, and so there's been like a ghettoization of the way we view everything, and you can get caught in little bubbles, which I am actually starting to see. Like, one of the things that I really do think is true is that the owners of a lot of this media technology don't really understand how it works, that they're just like trying shit, and they don't really get what's happening themselves, right? Like if you go and watch Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, whenever he does interviews, like he had like a Joe Rogan interview, right? And like whenever he goes anywhere and talks to anyone, I always get the sense from this guy that he doesn't really have a handle on what's going on. Because the thing is so big. The thing is bigger than him. And the thing is bigger than the people who are trying to organize it. Right? And it's so unwieldy. And so any small change to the system can have dramatic rippling effects. And even if you mean well when you do it, it can do all kinds of fucky shit. And I really do think that like one of the things that I see a lot of social media sites doing is they're confronting this idea of ghettoization, where all you ever see are these very small subset of like Reddit is a good example. Like there's subreddits, right? So you get on your subreddits and you're in your bubble. And so now Reddit is trying to combat this idea of ghettoization by forcing things into your feed, right? And so if another subreddit over here suddenly has a very popular thing, they'll force it into your feed. And you can just ignore it and just keep feeding, or it'll funnel you into other pursuits and other things, which I'm more or less in favor of, because I don't think that this bubbleization and ghettoization is good. There are subreddits that I follow that I completely disagree with, but I think that they are trying to struggle with the idea of the truth, right? I think they're honest. Maybe that's the best way to say it. They're not being disingenuous. They're being honest. So I follow them because of that reason, even though I disagree with them mainly. And many of them ban me because I push back on the narratives. But I still watch them and I still take a look because I think that's important. It's important to have a more rounded perspective. Will you be streaming tomorrow? I will be, absolutely. Yeah. The last day I'll be streaming is Thursday this week. So I'm streaming tomorrow and I'm streaming Thursday. I might end the stream on Thursday a little early though, because Thursday is going to be ridiculous for me, guys. Thursday is going to be ridiculous. I'm literally like going to a protest in the morning, helping organize a protest in the afternoon, and then going to then doing this stream, and then going to see my brother, and then the next day we're flying out. So Thursday's just like as packed a day as it can get. I'm gonna like end that day and be like, boy, I need a drink. I'm looking forward to it, man. Just a drive up the East Coast. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. All right, guys, we've made it to the end. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit all the bells, hit all the whistles. If you do have a couple of bucks jangled around your pocket, think about donating. If you donate to the Patreon, it gets you into the Discord, where we have a very, very active community on the Discord. We are trying to get ourselves organized. We are trying to find out how to move forward with any of this. God bless us, everyone. And mainly, it's just a good solidarity place. It's a good place to be for solidarity, more than anything. And always remember, guys, this is very important. You are a quantum being, walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes that you'll never realize it and you'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Revolt. Rebel. Repent. Good luck. We're going to need it.